Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Max's Man Cave. And tonight we will be doing a Sunday night Smackdown with some of my favorite people. We've got a spicy topic. This is very spicy. This has been a discussion probably for like the past couple months now. Is superhero fatigue real, or is it bad movie fatigue, or are they one and the same? Are they synonymous? So to help me talk about that tonight, I've got Drew, aka Dolan from Comics Elite. What's going on, brother? Thank you for being here tonight.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here. And this is going to be a very, very fun discussion, especially in the midst of some of the spectacular superhero films we've gotten this year.
Absolute triumphs, I believe they're called.
Best is yet to come.
Yes. Yeah.
Best, I thought you were saying bestest ever, but yes, best is yet to come. Absolutely. Speaking of which, what's going on, Aaron? Thanks for being here as well. And I'm very because I don't think I've gotten your take on this before, so I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I'm taking a break from my busy schedule of being mean to people on Twitter, apparently, and I'm here to talk about this the superhero fatigue that we've been hearing so much about. Right?
Who have you been being mean to on Twitter? I don't know anything about this.
I quote tweeted a guy, and I just said, like, people really think that there's other people find their social media presence important, don't they? Because he was complaining because Twitter was throttling the amount of tweets that you could see at a time. For whatever reason, It was a temporary thing, and apparently, and people were like freaking out about it. And this guy was just like losing his mind. And I just quoted it, and I was like, what? It popped into my feed, and I just commented on it very tamely. And he's like, you chose to be passive aggressive and cowardly and mean. And I was like, I direct quoted something that you said publicly. Tell me how, and I also was gentler in my commentary than you were about Elon Musk in yours. So who's being, lecture me about being mean. But like people were coming to, his buddies were coming to defend him and pat him on the back and was going like, he's punching down, and I'm like, what?
You're another Twitter user.
Yeah,
everyone has free reign on the platform.
Yeah, everybody's on an equal standing now. Yeah. Like we all have a Twitter account. I mean, I guess some people have more than one, but I have one.
That is too funny, man. Well, you're not the only one who gets berated on Twitter, because Josh last month got beaten up by his own people.
That's right.
I thought we were your people, Josh.
No, you are. What Max is saying is I got in a fight with the Moes. I think I won. I don't know. They all ended up blocking and running away with their who knows. They blocked. They blocked and they'd unblock and comment and then block and then unblock and comment and then block, and I'm like, so much for this welcoming and inclusive environment.
Yeah. I always think it's so funny. I think you had said this the other day, Josh, or maybe it was on Aficionados, but you basically said, anytime Dan Slott posts something, I just want to say, is this your last tweet on Twitter again? Is this the last time you're on Twitter again?
Didn't you say that was like Twitter?
Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah. Check mark thing, like I'm done. Can you go back to being done? We preferred that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And who believed that? No, none of us. I mean, we had this discussion. None of us believed for a second that he was going to be able to not.
No.
And it's a joke for him to even pretend.
And I will say, as much as I do not agree with what Eric Larson says, the one thing I have to praise him for is like the dude stuck to his word, because I haven't seen him on Twitter, right? I mean, to my knowledge, I haven't seen him on there, and he said, "All right, I'm done," and he dipped out. So
yeah, I think he nuked it. I think he's just on Facebook with the other olds.
Let's see who is here in the chat. And once again, guys, thank you again for being here tonight. Love hanging with y'all. We got MG saying shitty movie fatigue is in full effect. Well, we are about to get into that in just a second. Good to see you, MG. Jay the Deep Minded, hello from across the pond. Yes, we are extremely rebellious this month. Extremely rebellious. And thank you for saying I hope you enjoy our Independence Day. Woad Warrior, what's going on, dude? All out of bubblegum. Good. Nomi, yes, we are going to get into some spicy talk. Definitely. Good to see you as well. Gamma Worlds, what's up, nerd? Fucking nerd. Let's see. Ben Cordwell. Good day. Good day to you, sir. Green-haired anti-liberal. Great stream with green-haired anti-liberal. I was on their show Saturday night talking. Had a blast. So thank you for having me on, gal. Harley Dave. What is up, my man? Harley, I've been seeing those Warhammer posters. They look great, man. Can't wait to respond back to that. And yeah, I think, Aaron, you may have to check your mic settings, so we'll get on that.
Okay, yeah, let me check.
Thank you, sir. Hell yeah. Even all the way from Australia, Ben is saying God bless America. I respect that. I respect the hell out of that. And hello, A2. Good to see you here as well. Thank you for the heart. And Zaxx, our main man, Zaxx. We can't have a stream without Daddy Zaxx being here, you know. And yeah, definitely enjoyed it. So thank you, gal. So I figure what we could do is, so I'll kind of give my take on the issue. Like, we'll just get right into it. I'll give my thoughts and why I think there is a case for superhero fatigue and why I personally have it. Now, like I said before, I think the two terms are synonymous. I think that bad movie fatigue and superhero fatigue can be one thing or can be real because we aren't getting any good films that are superhero films, right? If we were getting superhero films that were good, yeah, maybe it'd be a different discussion. The last one I think we got was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And even still, that's still not part of the like Marvel DC phase, whatever, or their kind of universe. So it's its own little thing. But I wanted to play this clip before we get into it, and I just want to say, whatever Rich Evans says, replace Star Wars, but with Marvel, and this is kind of how I feel. So, and I would love to get y'all's take on this. So yeah, here's Rich Evans saying more than I ever could. Let me know if you guys can hear the audio, by the way.
Nope, no audio.
No audio?
No audio.
Okay, let me reshare it then. Thank you, sir.
Nope, no audio.
It sucks and you're terrible. Okay, this should be better.
Yep, still no audio.
You know what's really fun about being the host is that I can just do that and keep going with the stream. I have so much power. So much power. You're gonna get me back now whenever I come on to Pop by Culture. So.
That's right.
Tuesday, big July 4th stream.
Yeah, we'll have to. Josh, if you can, maybe put it in the private chat. I'll drop your link in the chats. Or Zaxx, if you're still here, if you can drop a link to our good friend Josh. So Weird Science says, I hear Josh and only Josh. Well,
yeah. Hello, Jim. How are you?
Good to see you, Jim. Is that what you want to hear? Because we can like do this.
No.
I don't know I don't know if anyone really wants that.
Did my mic get any better, by the way? If the chat wants to let us know, I would appreciate it.
It sounds a little better, but it still sounds like it's getting the choppy.
Does it really? Yeah. How about if I move it closer? Is that better?
I think there's just a little bit of that. I just hear that little tick every now and then, or a little chop, but
like it's clipping almost.
I blame Wes.
I was about to say, is it? I think it's that same thing that Wes has, right?
Yeah, I mean, it might be. I'll go out and I'll come back in.
Okay.
Play the clip and then I'll go out.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So yeah, Rich Evans, for context, is talking about Solo, a Star Wars story or Star Wars saga. I forget. Who cares?
A soy war story. Yeah,
soy war story.
Box office Solo that nobody remembers it.
Yeah,
Solo lost money. Hashtag Solo lost money. And he's basically saying why he actually enjoyed the film, and I think that that's kind of a funny concept.
Not even liked it. You loved it?
Well, kind of. It's not up to love, but it's near.
Okay.
I enjoyed the film.
Why?
I hate Star Wars. I am absolutely sick of Star Wars. I feel like the franchise should have ended in 1983. I feel like they ended their story, and I feel like they haven't had any idea what to do with it since. I'm sick of it. I hate lightsabers. I hate the Force. I'm tired of the Empire. I'm tired of the Rebellion. I really like this movie.
Because it had none of those things.
It had none of those things.
Well, it had all those.
So that's kind of why. That's like. Maybe I'll wait for Aaron. While we're waiting for Aaron to pop back in, I'll read this from MG. He says, it's a bit of both right now. Bad movies started it, and there's been so many bad movies now. Everybody is just sick of everything. And all we get now is superhero movies. And that's kind of why I think that there is that synonymous, like, that they can be one and the same, that they don't necessarily, have to be like one or the other, right? Because I feel a certain way, but someone else might feel the same way, but call it something different. But we're still feeling the same thing. So I think that's why. But yeah, let me bring Aaron in here. So yeah, I was just saying, I think what Rich is saying, where he's like, I hate Star Wars. I think I pretty much, I don't enjoy what Marvel and DC are doing. I think that their universe ended with Endgame, and I don't think they've had any creative ideas since. I hate when Rich says, I hate lightsabers, I hate the Force. That's me with capes and spandex. I don't want to see any more spandex. I don't want to see any more capes. And it's not that. I think my biggest concern is that even if tomorrow they drop the best Superman film that could ever have been published or created or whatever, am I going to care? Am I going to want to go see it? Is it going to make any money? And I think that's the true nature of where the superhero fatigue argument comes in, is that even if there is a massive hit for a superhero film to come out, are people, normies, 80% of people, are they even going to give it their time, watch it? Do they even care anymore? So I think that's kind of where the argument comes in. But what did you guys think of like Rich's thing? I don't know if I you guys, I don't have like a
this is the McLaughlin group, man. You're leading the way. Oh no,
we're all gonna be like, no, you go. No, you go. No, you Isis, you go.
I'm a loudmouth. I'll go. I have the least amount of time here tonight.
This is true. Yeah, Aaron's got to go soon. So yeah,
I agree with everything Max said about how he feels. Good night, everybody. I'm in the same boat as Max. I don't care. Guardians was the last movie that I had any excitement for. It capped it off for me. I was like, I saw a lot of trash from Phase 4, and Guardians was like, hey, finally a good Marvel movie after an entire phase of garbage, and I'm glad to be out. I've cashed in my chips, and I'm happy about it. I don't care about Secret Invasion. I am not going to go see a Captain America movie starring Anthony Mackie. Nothing against Anthony Mackie, but Steve Rogers is Captain America, and unfortunately, Sam Wilson is the Falcon. I don't want to see I have no interest in seeing them translate all new, all different onto the screen while skipping decades and decades and decades of good stories. I don't want to see this new Falcon. That was created by was it Mark Waid that created him, or at least Mark Waid wrote him in Champions. I'm sure I'll have more to talk about than I'm sure I'll have Joaquin. I'm sure I'll have more to talk about than he did in Champions, which was just illegal immigration. That's apparently Mark Waid, despite living in California, apparently has never met or talked to a Mexican. Because they don't just talk about that. And as a matter of fact, I don't know any that talk about that at all here in California. So what are you gonna do? I'm done. Like I don't care. I agree with Rich about Star Wars. I hate Star Wars now. Disney's made me hate Star Wars. I don't even go back and watch the original trilogy anymore. I used to watch that every year, and I just can't. They've just given me such a distaste for it. And as far as the superhero films go, The Flash was pretty much the last straw. I don't know that they can do Superman and have it be successful now, because I think there's just such a general distaste for superhero movies. What are you going to do that's going to make that crazy and different? And even if you do make it crazy and different, who cares?
Yeah. Well, thank you for articulating those points and echoing the sentiments there, because I agree with you. And you actually probably saw this coming before even I did, because I was never a big Star Wars guy. So you had to go through this twice. You know what I mean? You had to go through this with Star Wars first, and now going through it with Marvel, which is, I mean, I couldn't even imagine.
And going through it with Indiana Jones, and going through
dude.
it with it's like going through it with Terminator, and going through it with Aliens, and going through it with Predator. It's just like going back to Red Letter Media. How does it feel to see every franchise you've ever loved burned to the ground? Feels great.
Absolutely. Feels great. Feels great.
And now I'm getting to watch it in the comics too. I'm getting to watch it with Darkwing Duck, something that clearly I very much love. So, it's just with Dynamite's handling of it, it's just you gotta find new stuff. Hopefully, what I'm excited about? This is gonna blow your mind, Max. I'm excited about Henry Cavill's Warhammer series. I want to see that. You know why? Because I only have the most passing knowledge of Warhammer. And it's something new that I can get into, and it's something that my friends like, and maybe it'll be something that I can be excited about, because it's new and it's different, and it seems like it's in good hands with Henry Cavill, kind of overseeing it. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the new.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think once Warhammer hits the stage, I will say this as someone who's been in the hobby for over 2 decades now. I don't think Warhammer will ever go mainstream, and the second that it goes mainstream, it will turn to shit and it will die, just like everything else that we've seen go mainstream. So I hope that it almost doesn't go mainstream, because it's not meant for that. It's meant for people who want to respect the aspects and the intricacies of the hobby and of the lore and of the models and all that stuff. So. And I think Henry has that respect for it, and Games Workshop absolutely. I think in their best interest as businessmen have a lot of respect and a lot of play within that, because they don't. They're very protective of that IP, and very rightfully so. I do want to say hail to Mr. Michael Bancroft, one of the biggest comic fans out there, and even he is saying I'm fatigued. So I appreciate your input, man, and thanks for being here. Good to see you. Ben Cordwell says, I think it's a bit of both. I think everything's just gotten so big, bloated, and confusing. You've got movies, streaming series, the parks, and then just the press surrounding it all. And Ben, the thing is, it's definitely gotten big and bloated and confusing, and I think that's what turns off a lot of normies, because the press surrounding a lot of this stuff, I don't think normies follow that stuff. I think we're a very select few that tend to be on YouTube or Twitter or Instagram talking about this stuff. But like, I'll talk to my mom and my dad or my family or my friends at church. They know zero about any of this stuff. They just see it from the outside looking in, and they just go, another fucking Aquaman What? Or they go, wait, who is Superman? Is that just, did they do a new Superman? Why? They are so checked out, man. So checked out.
No, you're right. It's amazing how many people I know, because I don't do this on a daily basis. I've got a big boy job, and how many people have zero idea, zero clue about any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, there actually is a world outside of this,
So is Joaquin Phoenix, is he going to be in the Robert Pattinson movie? Is he going to be in the Twilight Batman movie? Are they gonna fight? Or what's going on?
Yeah.
Batman going to glitter?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
And that's another good point. It's like, oh yeah, there's a Joker film coming. I forget that there's Joker, Aquaman 2, Blue Beetle, Joker. I know Joker's not technically canon, but then it's
There's
like,
there's no way that Joker makes $1 billion again. Is there?
They got Lady Gaga. We'll see what happens. She's got some fans apparently. So yeah.
Of her acting?
Yeah, she's got some decent fans from acting too.
Apparently she was allegedly she was good in that film with Ryan what's his name, and the singer
with Rocket Raccoon, Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
You're thinking A Star Is Born, and
that
it was
yes.
a fantastic film. Did it flop? Oh, I liked it a lot.
Right?
No, it did pretty well. Yeah, for an independent film, it did pretty well.
I guess it depends on the budget, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, yeah. But yeah, no, she's got fans from that, and she's got fans from American Horror Story. And keep in mind, she's won Emmys. Like she's
No, I'm
relatively
not saying she's not good. I was just I didn't know if she had a following, and if like people that are fans of her music follow her to film, or if she had established a separate fan base.
Yeah, no, I think it's a little bit of both. I think she's got a chunk of people that go see her no matter what, and I think she's gotten a little bit of a fan base because. And what I'll say to her credit, do I think she's the best actress ever? No, but she comes in, she tries, like you can tell she takes it seriously and she puts herself into it, and I think people respect that. I
personally loved the first Joker film. It deserved $1 billion at the box office. I thought it was a fantastic piece that really showed the potential of what you could do with some of these superhero films if you really wanted to go that route. But it was just something completely different than what we've seen, and it was much more of a character study than it was a story. And I appreciated that for what it was. So I really enjoyed it.
I think the benefit that the Joker had was that it was actually a good story, but it's no different than what we're seeing with a lot of other comic book movies where someone has a story that they want to tell and they're just taking a character and putting it in there because that is not the Joker. Like,
no.
I loved it. I love the film. I think it's a great film. That is not the Joker,
See, I hated it. So I absolutely.
Oh, really?
Absolutely
Interesting.
Did not like it. Yeah. Here it's one of those films where it's like when people ask me about it, I say, I thought it was very well made. I thought it was a very well constructed story, and I did not enjoy it at all. I just, the subject matter to me, it was too dour, too depressing, too nihilistic. It doesn't really fit my sensibilities. Now, granted, those are all things that should be in a movie that's about the Joker. But once I watched it, I was like, okay, well, I'm glad I saw it. But because I waited till it was on Blu-ray. And somebody sold me the Blu-ray cheap. There's a guy that comes through and, hey, want some Blu-rays? $15. And I was like, sure. So, I bought the Blu-ray.
Does he have a little newsboy outfit on? He's going, Blu-rays here,
hey,
Blu-rays.
XG.
Hey, you want this Blu-ray out of my trunk?
Yeah, he's from quality. He's from the 40s. He just, he walks around, Hey, mister, how do you feel about that Joker movie? So I bought it, I watched it, and then I took it and I gave it to my friend. I was like, "You seen Joker yet?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "Here." And he's like, "Cool, I'll get this back to you." I'm like, "Don't bother. I never want to watch this movie again. Enjoy. It's yours." So.
You're right, Aaron. It's very much like the film I kind of knocked off was Taxi Driver. I mean, it's great to watch once, twice. It's like, okay, I got it. I don't need to see it again because this is a depressing film. I don't want to be depressed again watching this. Or Jacob's Ladder, very much the same thing.
But it will forever have given us the meme that we all get to use on Twitter, which is you get what you deserve. And you know what? I feel like a lot of people would be sending that to Kathleen Kennedy this weekend, looking at the Indiana Jones box office.
I think it's at 125 worldwide, maybe.
Billion? Amazing.
Yeah. Oh well.
The other thing, just specifically with Joker, that's going to be bad coming up within the next year to 2 years is you're going to have 3 people playing the Joker. So you're going to have Joaquin Phoenix, Barry Keoghan, and whoever they decide to use as Joker for the DC universe.
Oh God.
Oh no.
Is anybody interested in seeing another Batman movie like with Pattinson? I don't care.
No, I saw the Pattinson film once, and I plan on never seeing it again. Never.
But that's kind of how I feel about Aaron's view of the Joker is how I feel about the Batman film.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was brilliantly made. I think the cinematography and the score were just
beautiful.
Perfect. Yeah, it was beautiful. It was dark. It was grimy. How they made it this kind of like Seven detective horror, noir. I love that aspect of it. I will never watch it again. And I hated the way I felt when I was watching it because I just felt like depressed and like sunken, and like I left the movie theater like.
And I hated a lot of the characters. Most of the characters are utterly unlikable in that. And like Riddler was effectively John Doe from Seven. He was not the Riddler.
Paul Dano always plays Paul Dano. I wasn't impressed. It's just
kind of Paul Dano from Prisoners. Yeah,
it's the same. It's the same performance I've seen from him before. It didn't blow my mind or anything, and it just made me feel like, wow, if we had gotten kind of the same tone, like a gritty detective story, but it had been more Batman, it more traditionally Batman, I could have really liked this.
Yeah.
But, just turning Riddler into kind of like a serial killer, it just seemed like every decision that was made after the high concept of let's do an actual Detective Batman was just kind of like the laziest, most also ran like thing that you could do. I just want to see a superhero Batman. Like if I'm ever going to watch a Batman film again, I want to see a superhero Batman where if Killer Croc shows up, it's like Arkham Asylum. Killer Croc shows up and you're like, yeah. Or he's fighting Clayface and you're like, sure, yeah, this could happen. That's what I want. I want a superhero Batman movie. I've had every other flavor. Stop trying to go, well, we really need to make Batman more grounded. As if this, what if a guy in the real world decided to be a bat? It's like, okay. I mean, granted, we are living in a time where people can just decide to be bats, and the rest of us are supposed to just go along with it. But
this is very true. Bat and Bat Self. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I want in. That's what I want in film. That's not what I want in a Batman film. I want to see comic book Batman finally translated to the screen in a movie that isn't Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's I wonder if that's the future of this. We might have lost Drew. I wonder if that is the future of superhero films, because when you look at something like westerns, and I think Razorfist has talked about this before, and Gary, but you look at westerns, and if a western comes out in 2023, you go, oh, that was a good film. That was a cool western or something. If it's done well and it respects the genre, you go, that was a cool western. I really enjoyed that. But you don't go, oh, westerns are back. You know what I mean? So I wonder if like there's another superhero film that it'll be like, oh, that was a cool superhero movie, without the asking price of, well, get ready for phase 87 then, you know what I mean? Because no one wants that anymore. Because I think ultimately what we'll probably see is just the superhero fatigue to wear off, or the bad movie fatigue to wear off. We'll kind of see less and less things being produced and made, and then we'll get a film every few years and we'll watch it and go, hey, that was a really great installment. But I'm thankful that they're not doing this like big, universe thing. But I don't know, because I could be completely wrong, because there is 10 years, a decade worth of what James Gunn is about to try and do. So it's
we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see what happens when Drew loses connection again.
Oh, am I there?
You killed him.
You're there. Go, Drew.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
So we'll see what happens with this universe he wants to make, because the returns in the latest films haven't been that good. But because I'm sure Zaslav is like, hey, that Creature Commando film, we're not going to start with that. We're cutting that, and this one we're going to cut that. This one we're going to cut that. Let's just do a Superman film. How about that?
Well, they got 2 more flops incoming. It's like Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle is going to be a disaster, and I don't see. I know Aquaman 2 made $1 billion, but if you want to see Jason Momoa, you can go see Dune 2, which looks awesome.
Oh yeah.
I don't know that. I don't know that the audience is going to be there for Aquaman 2. I don't see any excitement on it, and if they keep Amber Heard in it, that's going to be Ezra Miller Part 2. It's just you're just going to have a huge chunk of the audience that's going to go, nah, just based on that.
Yep.
Especially with how much coverage it got. Because even like normies, I feel like normies may be kind of 50-50 on Ezra. They may not know him, or they may know him. But I feel like with how much coverage Amber Heard got, everyone knows who Amber Heard is. And if they see her in one of these trailers for the Aquaman movie, people are going to be like, nope, I'm out. So that'll be real. And honestly, to me, I think the best thing would not even release them, put them on HBO Max or not Max. What would it be Max that they'd be put on? Warner Brothers?
Yeah.
Put them on Max, but
yeah, that's strictly going to come down. I mean, your best decision, and I don't even know if they could do it contractually at this point, would probably be to just take a write off and lose it. But they've already spent money, at least with Blue Beetle, promoting it. So at this point, you've just got to look at it as, what are we going to get the most profit off of, or most income off of, sending it to Max and hoping the subscribers kind of give us some cash flow in. It's not going to, or just go ahead and hope that the movie's going to make enough that it at least counterbalances the distribution costs.
Or you go, hey Netflix, you like throwing good money after bad. You want to you want to just buy Aquaman and Blue Beetle?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're already doing that with HBO. They're doing that with HBO shows, saying, "Hey, Netflix, you want to come put this on your streaming service? Because we'll let you," and they are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty interesting at this point to see DC as a brand. I think I told you guys this story before. I did a project in one of my business classes, and we were pretending like we were consultants and how we would approach a business or a corporation or a firm, how we would approach them and how we would do something differently. So my exercise for our classroom was I was going to be the consultant at Deloitte for Warner Brothers. And so before I went into my speech or whatever, I asked the class full of Southern California normies. I put on the board, I said, when you think of DC or Warner Brothers or Superman or Batman, what do you think? Just tell me and I'll write it on the board. And these were people who have no idea what superhero comics are or superhero movies are. And they were just like, it sucks. Like everyone was saying like, it's trash. Like no one wants this, And I was just laughing writing this stuff down because I was like, these are people who this is your audience, DC, and they do not want it, right? Yeah. So it's quite something that if they do release it, I think it'll just continue to hurt the brand.
Agreed.
I think that's the problem Disney's running into as well, is that Disney in and of itself, I don't think it's deniable at this point. I don't think the failure of Indiana Jones this weekend is thoroughly on the shoulders of Kathleen Kennedy and the poor reception to Star Wars. And I say that because we're talking about normies here. Normies that don't follow all the ins and outs. They just like, man, I saw some bad Star Wars films. But they don't connect Indiana Jones and Star Wars. So they see an ad for an Indiana Jones film and they judge it based on their own merits. Or they're just like, Disney puts out crap now and I'm not going to see it. I'm going to wait. At least I'm not going to see it opening weekend. I'm going to wait till I hear word of mouth. And wait till I talk to a couple of friends, or the reviews are all out. That kind of seems to be what's going on with these big studios now. Is people are taking a wait and see approach, and it's because you've damaged your brand. You thoroughly. Everybody looks at Disney now like what is it? 9 movies in a row now that have been money losers. Not counting Avatar because that was a Fox film that they just happened to distribute, but it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable what they have done to that brand in a very short time.
The only brand and the only franchise I've been looking forward to that has not been damaged yet is the Mission Impossible franchise. And I cannot wait for the next one. I already pre-bought my tickets. I'm going to be there Tuesday night. It's going to be awesome. That's the one I've been excited for all year. Pretty much almost the only film I've been excited for all year.
Is it already out on Tuesday?
It comes out not this Tuesday, like 2 weeks from now. Like when I got my tickets for, but it comes out preview night on Tuesday night. Kyle and I are going.
So Indiana Jones has like 10 days to make its budget back before it's just annihilated.
And I guarantee Mission Impossible is just going to absolutely annihilate it when that comes out.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna go see it. I'm gonna be there. The first night I can go.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
I was going to say, Aaron, let me know when you go see that, because that will be a film that I want to go see with you. I think that I would, I didn't want to spend money on the J-Law film. I didn't want to spend money on but I will go see Mission Impossible with you. Bets on whether or not Tom Cruise will have a thank you at the beginning of the film.
If he does, he's going to make $1 billion easily. Guarantee it.
Yeah. This is pretty cool too. And Ben and Jay were talking about this. Terminalist, Reacher, and Extraction have been doing great. Extraction, I watched it the other night with family. It was awesome. And it is not some highfalutin, very theological, philosophical. No, it's just a really fun, practical action film. With some incredible stunt work, incredible fight scenes, beautiful cinematography and directing. Huge shout out to the stunt choreographers. Like, gosh dang. And Chris Hemsworth delivers again. He's a movie star. So I just wish that I could have seen that in the theaters. Yes, absolutely. It's what action movies used to be. Now I'm wondering if they're going to come for video games, because we saw Mario do well.
Yeah, Wes and I just did a video on that. They're coming for your video games. So get ready. Yeah. It's just like be prepared. To see. Hey, you love Donkey Kong? Well, guess what? now you're going to see Donkey Kong through a feminist lens. And obviously not, because Nintendo owns Donkey Kong, and hopefully they won't let that happen. But it was all about that. And as far as what you're saying about Extraction, just being a good solid action movie, that's what people want. I think we've all had enough of Hollywood's philosophy and theology. I think we're good. I think we all know where you guys stand. We don't need any more.
We're good. Thanks, guys. We don't need to be lectured to anymore.
I think
that's
for a lot of these films, like Marvel and DC, they've put individuals. I hate to say the term wrong people, but people who have ulterior motives when making these films. It's not about telling a quality film with a great character with a great legacy. It's about putting in their own twisted, unique world perspective on the character.
Yeah,
and it's easy to. Oh, go ahead, Josh.
I was going to say too, like he's mentioning the wrong people. It's one of those things where, especially for Disney Plus, the superhero series that they've had coming out, they had to make a shift to get people that were TV people because they weren't structuring these shows right. But they kind of shifted into this element that they did that and started telling the writers and the directors like, hey, don't read these comics. And on one hand, I understand because you've built a universe within the MCU that they're like, you can't lift this story because we don't have the pieces for you to lift this story. And I think that's part of the reason they're telling them don't read this. But at the same time, by telling them not to read this, they're not getting the like essence of what these characters are and what the story is. And you can still get the story. You can read the story and deliver the essence without delivering the actual story. And I would say like Winter Soldier is an example of that. Civil War is an example of that. Infinity War is an example of that. Like they're not complete lists, but you still get the essence of what that story was delivering. And you're just missing that now. And it's starting to feel vacant and void. And you know, like, hey, I just read a Wikipedia about this character and now I wrote a film. Go see it.
There's not enough depth in the existing MCU to draw from. For writers to draw from and make it interesting. So I understand not lifting Secret Invasion because you don't have those pieces. That what Josh is saying makes absolute sense. But you can still read the characters and get an idea of who the characters are, and and then watch the films and see where the parallels are and where the differences are, and then write something. That's what your job is as a writer. It's to take especially if you're working on an existing IP, it's take all these pieces and turn them into something that's compelling.
Yeah, it's really, I think the core essence of who these characters are is really what the people need to be reading or what they need to be looking for within these comics. Because without that, it becomes a shallow husk of what the character used to be. And it's funny because when I first started watching the Marvel films, I was like, oh, cool, they kind of adapted this story or they made it. Now it's like, oh, they're completely not even looking at comic books anymore. Like, even though Civil War, I think, is a fairly good film, it's not one of my favorites, but it is a good film. Yeah, I mean, it's completely different than the graphic novel, than the series of Civil War. You know, they're not even trying anymore to try and have some semblance of story from the books. And now, like you guys were saying, now it's not even something that they're interested in with the characters either.
I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen when they named Avengers 2 Age of Ultron, and the movie was, should have been called roughly 3 Days of Ultron, maybe a week.
Yeah.
It was. I was like, oh, they're just lifting the names because they sound cool from the comics.
And that comic came out like a year before the film, I think. I remember reading that event when it came out. This is so flipping cool. But then the movie comes out, I'm like, this is nothing like that at all. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and this isn't even Ultron. This is your typical Joss Whedon quipping villain.
Yeah.
And,
which is also very funny.
There's a movie reason for it because now he's based on Tony Stark, so sure, but still.
Yeah, I do find it funny that you have these movies that are coming out and someone goes like, oh, the Age of Ultron movie was based off of a graphic novel. I'd love to read it. And then they read it and they go, this is not what I just watched.
What is this?
Like, how are these? Are you sure these are comic book movies? Mr. Chickletrunk says, RIP Doctor Who and 007. Or is that Doctor Who 7? Or maybe he's doing a salute. I think maybe that's the emoji for salute. Yeah. But I was going to say, honestly, rip Doctor Who and 007, because both of those. That was another one that I forgot. And even Michael Bancroft, Lord of the Rings. I mean, they got
Lord of the Rings is untouchable, I think.
That's what I'm questioning. I'm wondering if Lord of the Rings is, in my opinion, a perfect trilogy. They are right up there with the Indiana Jones trilogy. 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 films. But I'm wondering if these crap shows will ever be able to tarnish that reputation. And I truly don't believe so, because when people saw the show on Amazon, they laughed. And that they were apathetic towards it, right? So I think that speaks more so. But I'm hoping that Lord of the Rings will never be touched. But we'll see. We'll see, Bancroft. It's tough to say. Jay says, I'm with Max on this one. I'm sick of looking at my local cinema and seeing capes and spandex. Meanwhile, really good films can't get cinema releases. Yep. We see The Northman. We see what was that film by Guy Ritchie, Josh, the Outpost or something like that with Jake Gyllenhaal?
Oh, The Covenant.
Covenant. Thank you. Yeah. Both fantastic films got zero money. You know what I mean? Like zero reception because the cinemas have been taken over by big blockbuster roller coaster superhero films. And so
but even those aren't bringing the thunder now. You know,
right?
The blockbuster moves, the blockbuster films that used to like be the anchors, you know, they're failing left and right. And I think that we're, you know, it'll take Hollywood a couple of years to respond, but I think we're going to start seeing some smaller films come out. We're going to start seeing, you know, it's kind of like the, you know, everybody chases the blockbuster. You know, the big thing. What's the next big thing? You know, Hollywood's very much about that. Comics are very much about that. You know, on the corporate level, it's you know, you get something that's a big hit, and everybody's like, well, how do we replicate that? And everybody feels like 2 or 3 years behind at that point. But I think that when you have that much shit, that is the fertilizer in which maybe good things can grow.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I like that.
Swami down there. Wow.
Mr. Tickle Trunk says Lord of the Rings is not ruined. It's fine. Amazon show has not touched the fandom. It's been rejected by everyone. And you know what? I would agree. I would agree.
And rejected
Bankrupt
on theaters 20 years ago. So yeah, it's doing fine.
And that's what I think they should do, man. Honestly, Lord of the Rings, leave it alone. And all you have to do is every year just release the trilogy once in theaters, the AMC or Cinemark or whatever. Release it through the Fathom events. Get a shit ton of money, promote it, have shirts, have cups, have all this merchandise, release different editions of the books. That's
Special
all you need to do.
Drink food menu items at the theater. Boom. There you go.
At Denny's, you go to Denny's. No, I'm kidding. That's
eat your popcorn out of your Witch King of Angmar
helmet. Yeah.
If they were smart, they would do that because they know they would make a fortune doing that.
Yeah. This is a good question here, though, Bancroft. The younger generations, when they start to grow up, the most recent thing be the thing that they know, or will the larger IP take over? And you know what I mean? So like, will youngins be like, oh, Lord of the Rings, what's that? Oh, Amazon has a show. Or are they going to say, oh, Lord of the Rings, what's that? Oh, it's a book. Oh, they did a trilogy. Oh, there's this terrible show. You know, which way is it going to go? I think interesting concept.
Are they going to be like us? Are they going to be pining for the things that were good from their youth, but they don't have a frame of reference of what was actually good? So they're like, yeah, did you see that new superhero movie? From Marvel Phase 97. Yeah. I mean, it was okay. I mean, it was no Captain Marvel. You know, remember we had the good movies when we were kids. You know,
dude,
Quantumania, yeah.
I was just about to say, could you imagine someone being like, man, I really wish we got Ant-Man in the Wasp Quantumania again. Oh, dang it. Like, who in their right mind?
Remember Rise of Skywalker? That was filmmaking.
I was talking today and yesterday to some our warehouse employees at the comic book shop. Most of them, they've never seen The Crow. They've never seen RoboCop. They've never seen like a lot of these superhero action films from like the 80s and 90s. So I'm having to educate them on these films. It is the wildest thing. I cannot believe it.
I just picture Drew going in and going, "I'm going to tell you about RoboCop," and everybody in the warehouse stops and goes, "Hey, everybody, an old man is talking." And gather around. It's like.
Let me tell you about a great Christ metaphor, RoboCop. Right.
I will say, because we're talking about Lord of the Rings, and I had employees before I started my new job, and I mentioned Lord of the Rings to one of the employees, and they're like, "Oh, isn't that really old movie?" And I'm like, "Really old movie? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's not really old. It came out in like the early to mid 2000s." And they're like, "Yeah, I wasn't born yet." And I was like, "Fuck off."
That's like, even still, like, I would never say the 80s action films are really old movies. Maybe some of them have aged, but even still, I don't think they've really aged poorly, because there's a charm that is still brought about with those films.
Not just that, because those films are really like the foundation for a lot of big action films to come. Die Hard, RoboCop, Lethal Weapon. Those are all landmark action films.
Salty Traveling C says Warner Brothers will fix Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, you bigots. Both need to be fixed. Ask Anthony Mackie. Yeah, didn't he say something recently, Salty,
he said
where
something
he was like,
dumb. I don't know what to do with Anthony Mackie, because sometimes he comes out and he says stuff that is based, and then other times he comes out and he says stuff that it's like, "Oh, you've been talking to too many people in your little Hollywood inner circle."
Well, he had like a 1-2 punch back to back of like, he had a based comment of being like, "Yeah, I don't know if we should really be throwing shit at Jonathan Majors. Like, I think, we need to let the law run its course. Like, everyone, is innocent until proven guilty, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, good for you. Good for you. Because it's not what Hollywood's saying. Hollywood's doing the opposite. And then the next day I was like, "Yeah, man, look at Harry Potter. There ain't no black people in that at all." And I'm like, and then he made a comment about representation in general. I'm like, there are black people, there's Indian people, there's Pakistani people, like there's all these different races in there. It's like, fuck off, dude.
Man, look at Black Panther. There's only one white guy in there. There's just Everett Ross. That's it.
On a side note, did you see where Don Cheadle and Samuel L. Jackson were upset that they weren't in Black Panther and felt like they should have been in Black Panther because they were black male actors in the MCU? And I'm like, it doesn't make sense for the characters. It's just like,
no, it's about writing for the characters. If you just put you in there because that's kind of racist.
Yeah,
we better put all the blacks in the Wakanda movie. It's like, no, it's based on which characters make sense.
I would say you're gonna do that if it's a parody or a spoof. Like I was watching "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker" the other night, which is flipping hysterical. That is hysterical. And yet you put those 70s, 80s, blaxploitation film characters in a film like that because it's a joke, And like if you're gonna do that, I would say because it's a parody or a spoof.
It's such a great send up, that movie of those films.
Yes.
I absolutely love that. But speaking of like 80s action films, just like you said, Max, you don't really feel like they're old. You feel like they can still be viewed and they still have value, even to younger people. The last time my sister was visiting, and I didn't get to grow up with my sister, so there's like a lot of things that she hasn't seen that I would have shown her. But she came out and she visited, and we were just talking, and I realized that she had never seen Big Trouble in Little China. And I was like, okay, well, we're watching that, and I put it on, and she had a blast with it. And then I showed her the guy that did the Gangnam Style video, but he did David Lopan style.
Oh yeah,
I had her watch that. She was like cracking up, and so it was like, the special effects are dated, and the story's goofy, but it's fun, and you go back and you watch like The Thing, show people John Carpenter's original Thing. These movies still hold up in ways that like this current kind of corporate produced committee trash they're not going to have any longevity. They don't even have longevity now. They come into theaters, we talk about them for 2 weeks, and then they're forgotten. Just like the first Avatar was. Nobody talked about that movie after that first year. I didn't have people talking about it. And then even when the new one was coming up, every now and then people would be like, you can go see that new Avatar movie? And I was like, nah. And they're like, I don't know. And since then, how many people are going like, can't wait for Avatar 3? Man, the story depth and Avatar Way of Water, I was blown away. Can't wait to see, like they're not getting into, discussions about the lore or the, there's just no, it's all, everything's disposable now. And with streaming, it's even worse because it's like, you watch it all at once, you talk about it for a week, and then you're done, you're out.
It's the TikTok generational thing. It's, you swipe and you just keep swiping the next film, and even something like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse that got great traction. Like, people really enjoyed that film. Some people were even saying that it was better than the first one, and I love that first one. It's still, I don't hear anyone talking about it, and it came out like a couple weeks back. Now it did do better than The Flash, I'll say that, because Flash came in third. It's in its second weekend box office, you know what I mean? So that was pretty pathetic for The Flash. But yeah, you're right, Aaron. I don't think a lot of these movies have legs to continue on even past its second or third weekend. I mean, that's brutal.
Well, look at something
go
like,
ahead, Drew.
like a Nowhere Home, like a No Way Home. When you had 3 different Spider-Men in that, people are still talking about that, showing images from that to this day on Instagram. I think because there's a generational thing there with the No Way Home. You've got kids, adults from all ages going to see that film because a different Spider-Man they can relate to. Whereas, I mean, in my opinion, the animated Spider-Man film, it's not for me. It's for kids, and mostly kids. But it's I think there's a generational gap there, and it may not be clicking or connecting with a certain age range.
I wanted to get to this comment real quick. This is, I think, what the future of maybe some of these IPs will be, is that when some of these superhero films, or when some of these Lord of the Rings films, or like whatever gets produced next, I think people are going to begin to say, I don't want this, but it's just going to remind them of the older thing. I was watching Ryan Kinnell the other day, and he said the only good thing that came out of Indiana Jones 5 was the fact that I got to go back and rewatch Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade. That was the only good thing about Indiana Jones 5. And I think that will continually happen the more people try and go, enjoy the slop, bigots, like enjoy these old IPs, and keep trying to do this and that, blah, blah, blah. And yet we'll just continue to see people going back to the older stuff.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen Secret of My Success with Michael J. Fox? Speaking of old movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Max, there's a moment in that movie that pretty much encapsulates where we are in Hollywood and in casting. He's just trying to get a job, any job, and everybody just keeps like, he's not right for it. He's not right for it. You're not a good fit. You're not a good fit. And finally, he's like interviewing with this woman, and she's like, "You're great. I love your resume. You seem like a go-getter. You seem like you'd be perfect for this job, but unfortunately, it's just not going to work out. And I don't think this job's for you." And he's like, "You know what?" He's like, "I've been hearing that over and over again. What's the problem? Am I too short? Am I too tall? I could be shorter. I could be taller. Whatever it is." He's like going on, and he's just give me this job and let me do it, and you will see I will knock it out of the park. I can do whatever it is that you need me to do. I can be taller. Or whatever. And she goes, "Can you be a minority female?" And he just goes, gets his stuff and gets up and walks out. And that's how these things are being rebranded. It's like, yeah, we're gonna do another Lord of the Rings, but what if Aragorn were a minority female, disabled?
Yes,
Boromir. Which character was that? Okay, so Boromir's gonna be a lesbian of color, and you know what? We could really cast some little people for the Hobbits, but Peter Dinklage says we can't. So
that's right. Yeah,
the Hobbits we're gonna have to cast 6 feet people as Hobbits. Are you gonna do some camera trickery to make them shorter? No, we don't want to give them a short stigma. So all the Hobbits are gonna be huge.
And you know what? They're going to ship Frodo and Sam finally. It's about time.
Finally.
Thank you. Finally. Thank you. No, I'm kidding.
But to make sure we don't piss off people too bad, one of them will have to be trans. So.
Oh, that's one of the and
just
all
the
of
actor, or just the actor, or the character themselves.
Preferably both.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they'll probably have to make the orcs and the Uruk-hai. They'll have pale skin, because apparently some people believe that orcs and Uruk-hai are an allegory for black people. So whoever sees that, you have a problem, unfortunately.
You know who's really good at wearing a lot of makeup though? Drag queens. Just have an army of drag queens as orcs. They're like This movie's gonna sell itself, folks. Are you
Guys,
proud of yourself? I'm proud of myself. Are you proud of yourself? Good.
I think we can get John Leguizamo as Saruman.
Oh, we're giving them ideas. We have to stop. We can't give them too many.
Representation matters. And I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. You know, I know. Yeah. I believe in, you know, if you're crafting a new story, and that's the problem. That's the other edge of this sword, is that if you're crafting a new story, and you can set that story anywhere, I think yes, you think of like diverse characters from diverse backgrounds that you can put together in a situation, and you can have them play and rub off of each other, and that'll be good. You know, you'll get a good story, you'll get some good beats out of that. But when you're doing things from the past that are already well established and that we already know, and that are set, say, in one part of the world, you know, like Dunkirk got crap because there weren't enough, it wasn't diverse enough. And it was like, this is set during World War II in England, in a very specific area. It's historically accurate. Yeah, but you know, what is history? You know, Cleopatra might have been black, right? You know, let's just do that.
It's like the Mary Queen of Scots movie that they did, I think, with was it Margot Robbie that they did that with? And then she had like black friends.
I didn't see that movie, but it really does. Like, I don't know. I think most intelligent appreciators of fiction, they watch movies and books and whatnot, and they're trying to build a world. You know, they're in their minds, they're trying to build something. And when things show up that just don't really fit, our brain starts trying to like work this shit out. Like, how is there any? And if we can't rationalize it, it just sort of leaves us going, well, I guess it's just not as authentic as it might be. And like, there's so many ways to be authentic about this stuff. It's not like minorities don't exist in, say, the world of J.R.R. Tolkien. It just so happens that wasn't the story that was being focused on and what was being told. And it's easy enough to do these things realistically in ways that I think people would not bump. Like, this doesn't make any sense at all, which is happening all the time now. And hi, everybody.
Hey,
brother.
Yeah, you know what, Jesse? Josh and I just talked about this Tuesday when we were talking about the Rings of Power show, and we were saying, like, you know, you want to get diversity in there so that your actors can stand there and just bloviate about how important they are. You know, I'm the first black dwarf female, and it's like, no. But you know, we were talking about, you can do the diversity, especially when you've got a big world-spanning adventure, by region. And I said, so you go to Numenor, and what if the Numenorians are, you cast a bunch of 6-foot Spaniards, you know, with really chiseled looks, and you know, and you make them racially specific in that way because that's the land. I said, that's the natural way to do it, where you don't get that Mike Stacklasa thing of like, you didn't, you know, this took you out. You know, you may not have noticed it, but your brain did, and it was, you know, trying to work it out in the background. You know, that's that when you say, hey, the hobbits are all closed off from society, but then it's all ethnically diverse casting. You're like, how did this ever happen?
And there were ways to do that too. And like, it's just not enough thought is being put into it. The really funny thing, I don't know, I find this hysterical. Tell me if this makes you guys laugh. There's been a story that's been going around about James Cameron and Arnold Schwarzenegger on the set of Terminator. And he's like, I'm a robot. Shouldn't I say something like this? And he's like, shut up. I'm the writer. You act, I write.
Yeah, he said, shouldn't it be I will be back instead of I'll be back? And then James Cameron goes, how about I'm the writer and shut the F up?
Okay, so flash forward to modern day, and on CBR today, I saw a fucking article that had a quote from one of the actresses from the new Indiana Jones movie. I didn't know that she was in the movie. I don't know who the actress is, so I can't name her. But she basically just blatantly talking about how she was offered the part, and she was like, yeah, you know, the way this character is written is problematic. I need you to change X, Y, and Z. And I'm just sort of like, James Cameron told Arnie to go F himself. And this lady's like, we're going to have to rewrite the movie for me. I don't understand this world we're living in.
That's the thing, man.
Waller-Bridge. That would be Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Yeah.
Most likely. And
No. It was this black actress.
Oh, the one that played the CIA.
Yes, she literally made Mangold rewrite the part for her.
Yeah, no, see, that's the part where you say, well, we're done here. Thank you very much. We appreciate your input, and you cast somebody else.
Thank you so much.
Doesn't.
We understand you're uncomfortable with it. Thank you.
Yeah, she doesn't need to be cast. That's fine. There are literally thousands, hundreds of thousands of other actors in Hollywood or across the world that want that role. That
They would be so grateful. They would be so appreciative.
100%. They would go, "Are you telling me I get to be in an Indiana Jones film? I will say whatever you want me to say." Like,
and they say, "I can't wait to work with Steven Spielberg and George Lucas."
And then they go,
yeah,
wait a
no,
sec.
It's
And that's
Kathleen
your first
Kennedy
mistake.
And it's Kathleen Kennedy and a very sad James Mangold.
What about me? Yeah.
I'm up.
Oh my god! Between you and
so I don't
Drew,
have my desk set up.
between you and Drew, I'm getting like Blair Witch motion sickness.
It's that action cam, Aaron Sparrow. Don't you know that that's how they film things now?
Yes,
Everything has to have
like
shaky
Grass
cam.
action film stuff from the Born Identity. Yeah.
Jesse is actually coming to us from top of a train that he's in a fist fight on.
Yeah.
I'm actually on top of Mammoth Mountain up here for the 4th, and it's beautiful. And I'm like super high up, hoping to see some black bears while I'm out here.
Nice. That'll be fun, man.
Wolverine. Apparently, wolverines are actually being spotted around here. They haven't been spotted in forever. That's right, man. So I was like,
Oh, I love it.
Real wolverines? I'm like, I want to meet one. Probably not, but yeah.
I think it would be funny if it just so happens that he just runs in. He's like, I'm gonna pop into the 7-Eleven and get something to drink, and he just runs into Hugh Jackman. He's also up there for the weekend.
If I met Hugh Jackman while I was here, that would turn my trip into the most meta experience of my life.
I did meet a Wolverine, as it turns out.
He just looks at you. He goes,
Wolverines just running around.
Yeah, he just goes, "Hey, bub," and you're like, "My life is I can die happy now." $5 super chat from Sigma Comics. HH, dude, you are too kind. Thank you, sir. I greatly appreciate it. He says, "Look at these guys. Shout out to all of you and wishing you great successes in your endeavors." Folks, this is where it's at. Pay attention and learn something. Or sorry, excuse me, something. You got to say it in like the New York accent. Pay attention and learn something.
Pay attention and learn something.
Yeah, there it is. So HH, thank you for the shout.
Everybody go around and do the New York.
No, everyone has to do theirs. Yeah.
You know, that's killing me. I was just looking at some of the comments, and somebody was talking about how, Lord of the Rings doesn't need any diversity because it already is diverse. They're all different races. And this is a very major thing that's happening all the time in science fiction. The Hollywood is sort of bypassing the fact that we have created worlds that are naturalistically less racist than the world we're living in. And then they go out of their way to sort of muck with them in ways that they didn't need to be mucked with because it was already a pretty freaking accepting galaxy far, far away, or your Tolkien, your Middle Earth is it's just like anywhere else. And there are people available of various ethnicities, whatever else, but there's also just constant metaphorical people. At the end of the day, Tolkien, like really when it comes down to, that man is a good man. He was a maybe slightly religious man. He had real values. He wanted to see a world where we came together, where the different races figured out that we were all largely similar and that we came together. He wrote a story about a fellowship made up of all these different races who traditionally don't get along together. And they came together, and I tell you this, prior to this bullshit TV show and all this stuff that was happening, this book has been responsible for changing people's minds about racism and other people that they might think differently of for decades and decades and decades. For you to come in and think like, it's backwards, you're backwards. Like, these are the books that people who are open-minded have been reading. Not your bullshit, popular freaking fiction, murder, she wrote bullshit. It's these things, fantasy and science fiction. I don't understand, like the way they look down their nose at us.
And I think that's like Perch Comics by Perch has done a couple videos on this, and I think one of his big things about this whole new era of comic books and a lot of these new comic book creators that have come into the space is that this belief that there has never been anything prior to them. and that what they are doing is saving humanity. They are the good ones, right? They are the ones that are going to bring about racial justice. They're going to be the ones that are going to change the world, end world hunger, solve all these issues. And it's like, dude, we have been doing that for decades. At least we've been trying to. But the people who are so, Aaron, I know you talk about this a lot, narcissistic, that word comes up a lot in these streams. The narcissism of people who believe that, no, I'm the one who's going to do it, and it's like, you really think that you can do better than what Tolkien was trying to do by bringing elves and dwarves together, two races that vehemently hated each other, and at the book said, I'd rather die side by side with a friend. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Yeah, they're racist because they can't see the difference. Like the fact that they're like, but it's two white guys, so it doesn't count. Like, you're racist. Stop it.
To Jesse's point about the world building, that we're creating all these different, pretty much races, because it's different races of aliens and whatnot. I'm waiting for Disney and Lucasfilm to get to the point that people complain about racism and or not having enough diversity in their films, that they're like, okay, so let us break it down for you. Ewoks are an allegory for gypsies. Wookiees are an allegory for black people, and they're like, what?
Man, people don't even like to hear you say that. It's fucking absurd, man. These freaking dynamics exist, and what a better way to fucking realistically work out them by showing some people who are similar. You're right. You're so right.
I just picture him like throwing the phone and just screaming into the
I'm sorry, Josh. You've triggered me. You're triggering me, Josh.
We should make Jesse full screen. It's going to be like on a Universal Studios ride.
Yeah, where you're just like following. Yeah. Oh no. Oh yeah. I get motion sickness. So yeah. $10 from Ravul Arvita. Dude, thank you. That is very generous of you. He says, has anyone seen Mamoru Oshii's 1985 movie Angel's Egg? It has Studio Ghibli producer Toshi Suzuki and Evangelion's I'm not going to try and pronounce that. I'm so sorry. Involved in the production of it. Honestly, anything that has anyone that is producing Studio Ghibli, I am there for. So, Ravul, thank you for the $10 super chat. That is very generous and very kind. I think that's actually an Australian dollar. Is that what the A is for? Regardless, man, thank you again. That's awesome. And I will have to check that out. Thank you for the recommendation. I have not seen it. Have any of you guys heard of this or seen it?
No, but I just put it on the list.
I know the word producer in that super chat. I'm trying to...
Oh, come on, Drew. You know the classic Toshio Suzuki. Come on.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, come on. Who doesn't? And it's all foundational. That entertainment has been based upon that. Yeah.
Upon Hideaki Anno. Okay. I'm so sorry. Yeah. But I will say, Studio Ghibli is doing their Fathom events. I will be going to see Castle in the Sky, and I will be going to see Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind next weekend. I'm stoked.
Is that like an open, like a thing? Like, is that like an open screening? Because I've always wanted to see Castle in the Sky, and seeing on the big screen sounds good.
Yeah, they're doing the Fathom events in the AMC theaters. Same thing what they did with Lord of the Rings. So
I've seen those. So
they're re-releasing.
Yeah, let me know, Max. I might join you for that.
Yeah,
great.
I want to see that.
Yeah, that'd be super fun. So. And then real quick, Ben Cordwell says, is there anything still intact? And he says, just noticed the Warhammer seal on your mic, Max. That is pretty cool. Yes, sir. This is the Black Templars purity seal from the Warhammer universe. So these are custom made, and I'm trying to work on one right now that may be even bigger. So we're trying to get a real, because this is like a smaller scale. I'm trying to get a custom size. So thank you for
Max. I like Aaron here. Like I'm relatively new to the Warhammer stuff, and I see stuff like that. I'm curious about it, but it's one of those things where for me, it's like you got to baby step me in this stuff. I want to know where be a good basic bitch place to start with Warhammer. You know.
Oh, absolutely, man. And I will gladly be your guide, sir. Welcome. As actually, speaking of Ben, because I was talking about him, Ben was actually one of the guys who he had something great to say on one of my member streams. He basically said that gatekeepers have a very specific role to play, and that they can close the gate off to people who want to ruin franchises, but for those who want to be welcomed in and actually understand the IP and understand the lore, those gatekeepers then turn into guides. And I think that that's a really important task that gatekeepers have. So thank you, Ben. That was that was something that was really profound, and I really enjoyed him saying that. And I wanted
protect your fandoms, video game fans.
Oh, sorry.
They're coming for you.
Max, I just want to kind of like pat you on the back because you honestly did that this morning on your Warhammer build stream when you started talking about painting with X-Ray Girl, and you said, "What design are you going to put on the shoulder?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then she was like, "I don't know what design I'm supposed to put," and you just gave her like a list of ideas, and she's like, "Oh, I can do that," and she's like, "Hell yeah!" So there you go.
No, when I start painting my McFarlane Space Marines, I'm definitely consulting Max. You know, I was like, Max, what should I do? Who's the
I gotta say,
badass?
I'm really jealous of you guys. That seems so like meditational. And I got hit by a car when I was 11, and so when I get down to real like nitty gritty details, I have a hard time like maintaining my cool long enough to like to get the results that I want, and I start to get kind of out of sorts because I'm like over time like I'll do a really good job at the beginning, and then I'll start getting so tired.
Can I tell you my secret, Jesse? Like for painting,
what's your secret? Because I want to try more anyway.
My secret is I stopped going like, okay, I got to paint the little slits of the eyes. Let me get in there with my smallest brush and just get my magnifying glass and get in there and do it. Now I just go, okay, what are the small details on here? The eyes? Am I gonna make those yellow? Let me just slop that on, and I just slop it all over the face. And then when I go in and I paint the face, I go over. And it's much easier to take away with the wider area of paint that you're doing than it is to get in there with the fine detail.
This is a good solution for a man with shoulder problems. So just the blah 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 blah, and then it's a little nuance afterwards. I like this.
Yeah.
What's gonna be the biggest pain in the ass? Let's just slap that on there.
That's good.
Good point. And yeah, like your hobby of being able to paint those figures, Aaron, I think would transfer over well to some of the Warhammer figures. They are much more meticulous, and I think Josh, you were saying this morning on the stream, you were like, I can never do this shit. I'm never going to. There's just no way.
I've painted a couple Warhammer miniatures in my time, Max.
So. Cool.
Can I just say that Aaron, like, oh my God, he is so good at what he does. If
he's
you're a
talented
toy guy at all, and you're like into toy stuff. He's got a little company with his friends called Big Head Studio, and they make all these custom heads, like switchable heads for Marvel Legends and Mythic Legion, stuff like that. But more fun than that, really, for Aaron, if you go and you dig into any of the stuff where he's posted, he is the one doing all the painting for some of these things. And years ago, I had this brilliant idea when the Masters of the Universe Classics Ram Man came out. He had an alternate head where he had this little metal thing on the top of his head, and he kind of looked like Frankenstein. So I go to Aaron and I go, hey, will you turn my Ram Man into a zombie brought back from the dead Ram Man? And it burnt in my fire, but it is one of the most beautiful things I'd ever laid eyes on in my entire life. He's so fucking good at that shit. If you like that stuff, go explore Aaron's Instagram and his page, because he's got tons of posts that you'll eat up. And like you're so talented at that stuff, Aaron.
I appreciate that, man.
I agree. Aaron's talent on some of those figures is really cool, because I think you were showing me some of them, or you were talking about some of the paint schemes that you've done where you almost you paint it like it was the actual animated show figure, or you paint it like they've been inked from the comic book. So you'll have you'll do black in some of the crevices instead of just letting it be the same color as the uniform. So you're almost inking and outlining the figure itself. Stuff like that. I'm just like, that is so rad.
I did a cell shaded sound wave for somebody where I made it look like animation. And it was one of the things where it's like, after I painted it, I was like, I'm getting good money to paint this, but man, it hurts to give it up because it's like I don't know that I could duplicate it, like, and I don't know that I would invest the time to duplicate it if it was just for me. So it can be, but yeah, the painting the stuff is so fun and so rewarding, and I would love to do like just get some miniatures and just get together, Max, and just paint Warhammer miniatures, and you can give me the advice, not on stream, just go sit, or on stream, but like we're sitting in the same place, and you can just tell me, yeah, you should turn that into Templar is what you should do, give me all of that, like I would love to be doing some of that stuff.
Absolutely, man. And I think the table in the dining room in here, because you've hung out actually in Max's man cave, I think that might be a fun spot because it's got a ton of light, and but yeah, that might be cool. Now I wanted to get to JK, who says, I'd say it's more corporate IP fatigue. And Aaron, just let me know. I don't want to keep you up, so you just let me know whenever you got to bail.
You know what? I should probably jump out right here. I'll say that JK is right. We've certainly talked about that. Love being on the stream with you guys. I do have to bail out a little early tonight, but we got Jesse here, we got Josh, we got Drew. You guys are all in good hands. Max,
the problem is that everything that geeks love has become corporate IP for the most part.
Yeah.
Say again.
I said the problem is that everything that geeks love has become corporate IP.
Yeah.
And bye, Aaron. I love you.
And that. I know. He was just like, okay, bye. We love Aaron, and you guys should definitely go follow him on Twitter. And if any of the mods could put his Twitter up, I'm slacking on my host duties that I don't have that ready for him. But thank you, Zaxx, for putting up Josh's. We love our popped by culture. So where was I? Let me see here. So yeah, JK kind of saying I'd say it's more corporate IP fatigue. I would love to hear because I got we spoke to Aaron a little bit about this, but Josh and Drew and Jesse, I didn't get y'all's take on this whole superhero fatigue, bad movie fatigue. Do you guys have any say in that? Do you think that what Aaron and I were saying earlier in the stream, is there some weight to that? How do you guys feel about this?
I definitely think it's more of a bad movie fatigue than necessarily superhero fatigue. And the reason I say that is because at the end of the day, all a superhero movie is a vehicle for a hero's journey. And it's no different than what you're going to get with Mission Impossible. And people are excited about that. So I don't think it's necessarily, it's like, oh my God, there's capes, I'm so sick of superheroes. I think we've had consistently less than stellar films, series, whatever, specials come out from the big two, specifically from Marvel, from DC, heck, even Star Wars at this point, that people have no faith in them. And I think that's where the fatigue comes in. Because at the end of the day, hero's journey is a hero's journey. And most of the films that we're going to watch are hero's journeys. And we're going to say it was good or bad. But a lot of them aren't going to have these huge like brands that's this massive connected universe. And I would even say that if Marvel would fully commit to like, hey, we're doing these characters, we're doing these movies, but we're going to do them in this style or this tone to make them different. Actually, Jesse's talked about this with Shang-Chi. If they had come out and made Shang-Chi a like kung fu movie through and through and just like committed to it, it would have landed better. Even now with Secret Invasion, I get people are upset that it's not the big thing, but if they're like, hey, we want to do this as like a start to lead to that, and it's going to be an espionage. If they had committed to like, we're doing a espionage just through and through, it would have landed even better.
They can't help but pull the punch, right, Josh? I mean, I feel like every time they take a step in the right direction, they just sort of leave the vestigial calling cards of like traditional Marvel product, like general Marvel product, and they all end up feeling kind of blander because of it.
Yes, when you're trying to appeal to a wider, broader audience, trying to bring it's like you lose the focus of who it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to be.
Absolutely. So then, Drew,
if Drew doesn't, no, Drew hasn't said anything yet.
Oh, if you want to go first, then I can go, or it doesn't matter.
Okay, well, you go first, brother.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say, like with Josh, I mean, yeah, it's bad movie fatigue, honestly. Like honestly, comparing everything. If you think about that very first Iron Man film, in retrospect, that was it was a smaller, bigger risk production, and that was pretty much, I don't want to say a guerrilla film, but like the script wasn't done; they were scripting it on the fly. It was chaotic filming, and you got a great quality product out of that. Whereas now it's like everything. When you had like a more focused, like smaller group working on that film, now it's like 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 people have to have their input onto a film now. And now you've got a mess as compared to what a focused film could be.
Too many hands in the cookie jar. Too many chefs in the kitchen.
Yeah, in the kitchen, if you will.
Yeah. And oh, go ahead.
I was just going to add one note. It seems like in some of these instances, they're actually getting good products and then having the hands come in afterwards. Because Robert Myers Burnett said he read the script for the first episode of Secret Invasion and said it was vastly different than what got made, at least for certain scenes. So it's almost like they had a script and then they're like, okay, let's pass it around to make sure we're checking all the boxes. And then
I hear those stories
saying,
more and more.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about this. Oh, they may not catch on to this. Oh, we need to add this flair. So.
What Josh is saying is so like it's okay. Like the wrong way to parent is to be sitting there, like my child might die at any given moment. Like that's a terrible way to parent. It's also a terrible way to produce art. You have a plan, you stick to the plan. Yeah. You bring in the people who are capable of executing the plan as is. You get out of their fucking way. You let the people execute the plan. That's how you make good art. The moment you start micromanaging and overthinking everything, this is why most of the music that comes out of the music companies is so terrible. There are so many cooks in the kitchen, so many writers on every song, so many people thinking about every little line of dialogue. All right. Nixon lost to JFK because of how JFK said what he said. If you go into a song and you start changing this word and changing that word and changing that word, you know what you lose? You lose the energy that is underneath the performance. And that is what people care about. The ideas underneath the thing, all of a sudden, this little change, that little change, this little change, you don't have the same thing anymore. You've made Swiss cheese from your mozzarella cheese. You poked too many holes in it, and it is now a different thing that can barely hold itself up. And I know you got something to say, MVP. So just come back to me on this IP thing because I do have something to say about it.
What Jesse just said, real quick, reminds me of Fantastic Four 2015. I mean, granted, it is not a good film at all, but what that first half of the film, what Josh Trank wanted to do. This is a different take. This is a very interesting take. But then you can see hard cut right away when the studio came in and like, okay, no, everything that just happened, we're gonna fix all that. We're gonna change all that now.
Yeah, like if you're gonna do it, do it.
Yeah.
I think that is what we need right now is good editors and good producers who are going to allow the creative vision to be seen through, but still offering edits that won't tarnish the creative nature of the artist, because I think that having an artist have full reign on a book, I mean, like if we look at or a film, if we look at Jim Lee, who may have been like writing in the 90s, and he did some books where he wrote and illustrated, and I guarantee he probably didn't have any editorial because you read some of that stuff and you go like, this
if you
is
read the
awful.
Wildcat stuff, it is unreadable. Right? Wildcat
It is. It is.
The art is fantastic, but yeah, the dialogue
of course,
terrible.
And so, in that regard, I think that it is good to have an editor to at least look over what you're creating. But to y'all's point though, now we're seeing that it's become wholly the editor's thing, and they just take it and they just completely change it, and it's not even the same thing as what they originally had in mind, and that's what's so scary about it. So Jesse, I think you were saying about IPs.
I said on my stream, I do a podcast called Cool Geek Alive, and the other day, I get to a certain point in having some part of this conversation, and I just went, "Who ordered this? Nobody at this table ordered this. Send this back to the kitchen and tell them no one ordered this."
100%, man. That is what I continually say is like, no one wants this. No one wanted this. Why do we keep getting something that no one ordered? And it's the classic metaphor of you go to a pizza place, you order some pizza, and it's shit. And you go, well, that's weird. That's not what I ordered. Or sorry, excuse me. You get it, and it's really, really good. And you go, wow, this is fantastic pizza. This is great quality. And then you go back again, but like, a week or a month later, and they give you a piece of pizza and it's like awful. And you're going, wait a second, is this the same thing that I got last time? I don't think so. But you know what? I'll try it one more time. Just maybe it was a one-off, right? But then you go back and they give you another slice of pizza and it's awful again. What are you supposed to do? You're gonna get tired of it.
The fools, the people who innocently love it the most, we get taken advantage of. I literally, I made like a real notation to not go see Indiana Jones this weekend because I was just like, you know what? At a certain point, I'm like, I'm just a victim of abuse. And there's no reason for me to go and be abused. I'm so disheartened by this process. And if I can see that it's a forest fire before I get there, I'm going to turn and go where there's not a forest fire maybe and see something else.
You're not wrong.
And Josh, fill in some of the blanks for me because I don't know how well I'm going to be able to say this, but I'm sure I'll be able to get most of it. And I think you'll have more to add. But the idea of there being superhero fatigue, right? Or like comic book fatigue, that would imply that our industry has been given credit for the quality or success of this IP in the first place. And we have not. They have been taking all the credit as film studios. The only credit that they gave out was to Stan fucking Lee. Stan Lee was the umbrella to which all creative people from the Marvel Universe will get credit. And no other credit except for a little thank you here and a little thank you there. And boy, did they start forgetting about who to thank pretty fucking quickly as we got deeper into the MCU. And I mean, this entire time, every single time I walked out of a movie and somebody would turn to me and be, man, they did such a great job. I said, that is based on great things. They didn't do a great job. They had a great thing and they did a great job adapting it. That's great. Unfortunately, the adaptations, what is being adapted has gotten further and further and further and further away, probably starting with Captain Marvel, where, okay, forget what her actual origin is. How about the Eternals? All right, forget how they look. Forget how this shit. She-Hulk, we're not even going to use her character. We're just going to make up a character. We are not being adapted. We have been told by Hollywood in no uncertain fucking voice that they're better than us and they're going to go and refurbish our shit. And it's all falling apart because of their shitty refurbishment. So thank God we didn't get credit in the first place because I don't think anybody's blaming us now. They're blaming them and their inability to get their own fucking dicks out of their own faces. They're literally just, dicks everywhere. Hey, calm down. Just grab 2 fingers, move the dick out of the way, and move forward. Instead of this shit where just everybody's lining up to sort of take credit and use our intellectual property as a political tool and as a social virtue signaling tool. It makes me fucking sick to my stomach. And the whole time they're just demonizing the people who care about the stuff. And as we go, I'd really love to see it like this. We're not saying we'd love to see it differently than it is because our version is like some sort of racist thing that Hitler would love. Our version is better than your version. Your version sucks. Shut the hell up. Your ideas suck. Get out of the fucking way and start honoring what we gave you to adapt. Go into it with that attitude. And then go, what can I add to this? What can I bring to the table here? How do I make this look really, really like the most beautiful and appetizing meal for this audience who's been waiting? Sometimes, we're getting to what, like 60 years? Some people have been waiting to see certain storylines brought to life on the big screen, and they just can't do it without making it there so they could take responsibility for it. It's exactly what Aaron said. It's just like fucking ego, and it has to be all about you. And the stupid thing about this is the greatest way that you could possibly go about aggrandizing yourself on planet Earth is by looking to your right or looking to your left, seeing something wonderful and going, that is great, and I'm going to love that and give my energy to it because I believe in it. And when people saw Peter Jackson do that with The Lord of the Rings, he is a deity. He is a geek deity. You cannot indict that man for all time. He will be a god amongst men. He freaking sat there and he didn't bring anything new to the table. And we're giving him all the credit as if he wrote it himself. As if he wrote it himself, we treat him with respect because he treated it with respect. And what we cared about was the material, and the material was handled well. It's so
disheartening and so disappointing to know that these people who were trying to get brownie points and trying to get compliments and kudos are going to get nothing because they selfishly tried to take all the credit and make it their own until it was unrecognizable from the thing we want. And the last thing that I'll just say about this is just in what everybody said before, if Little Mermaid had red hair and was a white girl, would a black person, Hispanic person, Asian, is there a single person on planet Earth who would go, hey, wait a second, this isn't right? No. So why waste all of our fucking time and energy in the first place by changing it?
Wow. Well, great. That was fantastic. I really appreciated that speech, brother. Because that's what we're all feeling, right?
And
I
also,
think
real quick, I forget. I think Jason, you brought it up was the Shang-Chi movie. Like
Yeah.
I was honest. I wanted one of my favorite Marvel stories is the Paul Gulacy, Doug Monik stories. I love that stuff, and I was so hoping to get an iota of that, and none of that. Nothing. Zip. Zero. It turned into something that is not Shang-Chi.
Yeah, that's why we.
Shang-Chi could have been so simply great. It's not hard to do a good action kung fu.
It's not.
You know,
John Wick showed that. John Wick showed it is still capable to do that.
Yeah. If that guy had come out of that movie, I don't know, bleeding a little bit with maybe a fucking black eye or something.
No, they had to introduce magic. Come on.
It was more about Aquafina and his sister in the film than it was about Shang-Chi.
That should have been the lead character of the movie. She was the most interesting character.
Let me get to some of these super chats real quick. Ravul Arvita, thank you for the $2. He says Farsight Enclave are incredible. Ravul, I don't know much about the Tau Empire. Once again, this is 40K stuff. I don't know much about Tau. However, I hear that the Farsight Enclave is a fantastic kind of lore aspect to them. I've just never really looked into the Tau, unfortunately. So, but thank you so much for the $2, man. I greatly appreciate it. I love your 40K knowledge, man. And Mr. Tickle Trunk for $5. Again, thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk. He says the issue is that gatekeeping doesn't do anything when the core can just buy IPs, then turn them into slop and feed the masses. They jumped the gate. Yeah, and I think once they get into the gate, or once they've jumped the gate and they get into the palace or whatever you want to call it, they lock the gate behind them, or they try.
It's that hubris of success. It's success after success after success after success, and you can just pump it out, put the Marvel label on it, slap it. They're gonna buy it, whatever. It's slop. Who cares? They're gonna buy it. Not anymore.
Yeah. There's two things with that gatekeeping thing. Because one, I believe in gatekeeping. I really do. I don't believe in nastiness. Yeah. And the problem that came up of gatekeeping, especially when it came to like social media, was a lot of kind of nasty people approaching people who were sort of hopeful about a thing or a hobby, and they're speaking ignorantly about the subject. And instead of going, hey, look, I really think you should go and read such and such. If you read this book, you might have a similar perspective to me. As a fan of that, I am the person who's responsible for why you know about it. And I'm not trying to say that makes me special or anything, but it does mean that people like me are the people who are bringing forward these ideas. And I know you're okay with the idea changing, but I brought this idea to you. We brought this idea to you because we liked the idea. We don't want to see it changed. If we have this conversation the right way, it doesn't have to be like such a nasty kind of poking of the bear, which I see happen all the time. And what did you just say, MVP? Because I wanted to say in addition to that about the stupid gatekeeping.
Basically, what Mr. Tickle Trunk said is that the issue is that gatekeeping doesn't do anything when the core can just buy IPs, then turn them into slop and feeding the masses. They jump the gate.
Yes. So the other thing, and this is really the major thing because gatekeeping has always been. Gatekeeping is under attack right now because of corporations. They are unwilling to educate themselves as far as we've educated ourselves. And they don't like being embarrassed by people who know more than they know.
Very true.
It is in their best interest to destroy our base of power so that they are the ones
They own the IP. They're producing the movies. It doesn't matter what we say. It matters what they say. That's what they think.
Yep.
So this bit of undermining gatekeeping, like some of the smart companies have gone about it the opposite way. You know, they go right into the fans and they try to get that stuff out. Granted, when it trickles out to the top, you know, but you get a company like, let's say, Super Mario Brothers and Nintendo, right? The movies just got made. They actively told Illumination, no, nope, don't do that, because they knew that we didn't want it. And that's it. I mean, like, I'm in this weird place right now where I'm kind of hopeful for the future, because I think the castle of cards that they've made is falling over. But there's two things that can happen right now. Either we get a same or worse or just a little better new dictator who gets put in place doing very similar things, because these things generally don't change. Or maybe for the first time ever, the writing is on the wall and there's going to be some sort of shift in what's happening. And I hope there is, but it's just, oof.
Josh, were you about to say something as well to that effect, or to the...
Yeah, no, I was just agreeing that the egos, I mean, like, I lived it. I know what that's like. I've literally been in a meeting with a producer and heard the words, "What the fuck do you know? You're from a small farm town in Texas." Because I proved my point. But I think it's interesting, kind of something that Jesse mentioned earlier. It's like we're doing a circle here with Hollywood and how they treat comic book properties. Because if you look at the 90s, it was studios going like, no, we know what's best. Just let us make our movies. And that's why you got stuff like Batman Forever and, you know, Batman Returns and all, like, just cringe. And then it's like you had some nerds kind of make their way up within the industry that loved and respected these projects, so they took it seriously. And then you got, you know, I mean, honestly, Sam Raimi, Bryan Singer kind of started this, like, hey, let's just attempt, let's just try making this semi-serious and kind of like try respecting the IP. And then it's like, oh shit, like this went really well. We could have something here. Find more people that are like this. And then you got, you know, Nolan's Batman series, and you started getting the early starts. Yeah, Blade as well. You started getting the early parts of the MCU. And even at that time, the MCU wasn't a part of Disney. It was an independent company. They were stepping out for the first time to try to as a production company on their own. So they had something to prove within the industry. And then it's like, okay. We see you guys. And then it shifted back at some point to like, we know it's best. Just hey, little comic nerd, sit down, shut up.
Sit down, shut up. We know better than you, and we know how to make your thing that you have known and loved. We know how to make it better. You know, and that's kind of the hubris.
We're at a point right now. I brought it up, I think, 2 weeks ago. Like, I noticed, historically speaking, because I was rewatching that Death of Superman Lives What Happened documentary, and it showed what killed it was the string of box office bombs that Warner Brothers had leading up to that release. It's like one after the other, and they said, no, we're not paying for this now. And I'm noticing that right now with all of these bombs right now, and it's like, it's only a matter of time before Warner says like, no, not anymore, no mas.
History repeats itself, brother, and the fact that Warner Brothers is trying to do... That's what I'm saying. The fact that they think that they have a 10-year plan, like they're trying to do an MCU phase 1 or whatever. I'm like, guys, you can't even get the plane off the tarmac. No. How are you going to have a 10-year plan when you can't even like have a liftoff right now?
Future Commandos, come on now, jeez,
dude. I was working on I'm working on a script for my podcast for this week, and I was just sort of writing just the absurdity that they would skip over 6 decades worth of Iron Man stories, 6 decades worth of Captain America stories, 6 decades worth of Hulk and Thor to bring us Falcon Cap now? At this moment?
Yeah. It's what we need, Jesse.
Cap Wolf is cooler than anything they want to do with Captain America with the Falcon. I would take a Cap Wolf movie over any of this.
Yes, let's attempt to tell, I don't know, how about a dozen of those stories? Pretend that he's like 007 for a second and just start telling some of the damn stories that have been coming out from Captain America for years and years. Or freaking resurrect the damn, they killed everybody in Asgard, but they need to tell all of Walt Simonson's stories. And they erased like most of the supporting characters. Okay, well, you have to bring them all back to life so that you can tell these stories.
They can do it. J. Michael Straczynski did it in his early 2000s run, where there was like a new Asgard in Arizona or whatever. They all the gods were embedded in human beings, and Thor was on a search to find all of them. It was a great story.
It's a great story. I love that J. Michael Straczynski run. That's a great one.
Yeah,
I do as well. I think ultimately we were robbed of seeing Silver Surfer in the Infinity Gauntlet series, and we were robbed of seeing Warlock in the same series, and we were robbed of seeing Beta Ray Bill
and that whole thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And we got robbed of Beta Ray Bill in Thor Ragnarok, or any of the Thor films, because they should have went straight to Simonson's run and introduced Beta Ray Bill. But I mean, they even had the museum or the mausoleum that had the heads of like different warriors in Ragnarok.
It was
and
a
one
building
of them was
in Ragnarok. The outside of the building has the Beast. It has Beta Ray Bill and a few others.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. They go like, "Oh, you like Beta Ray Bill, right? Well, here's a little Easter egg because you like these things, right?" And people just go, "Oh, yeah, Beta Ray Bill," but it's like, and it's like, what are you clapping for? They literally it's like they held up a picture, on their phone, and they just said, "Do you like Beta Ray Bill?" And people are like, "Oh, I know, I see that thing, I know that thing." And it's like, oh, come on, man.
I think that the Flash is the least of the worst, but I've been thinking about it so much since I saw it, and it just keeps hitting me hard that Michael Keaton's appearance as Batman was a Member Berries performance and nothing else. There was nothing of any substance. He did not help. It was literally like I need some extra muscle. Will you come and make an appearance with all of your bat paraphernalia at the big battle? Yeah, sure I will. And then he goes and he does that. And he says a couple lines from the previous one. I am Batman. You want to get nuts? I remember. Jesus Christ. I have this wonderful writing of the movie where I said, you know what? If instead of that girl, Supergirl, who means nothing to the audience whatsoever because we don't know who the fuck she is and it just is meaningless to us across the board. We don't want Superman with tits. We want the Supergirl who we know from the comics, whose stories we've been reading, whose character and personality we've come to enjoy. Instead of that bullshit, if they had Nicolas Cage come out of that fucking prison, the Tim Burton universe has a Superman, and it's played by Nicolas Cage. Yeah, it's true. I love you, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Thanks for noticing. But yeah, if they had put Nicolas Cage in that thing and had that movie have, Bruce and freaking Clark meeting for the first time years later, like setting up, and they never even have to make a movie of it. It would just be lovely. And then if it was a good idea, they could go make a movie, and people like you and I, we wouldn't give two shits about what they did because it's not based on anything. It's based on a pipe dream that Tim Burton had 10 years ago, and we'd love to see him make that movie just so we could see what it would be like. There are ways to do this shit and not have us complaining, but they haven't learned it.
No, I want the Nick Cage Superman statue. Honestly, the minute they make a Nick Cage Superman statue, finding a giant spider, I'm buying it. I don't care what anyone says.
With the giant spider and everything. At this point, we'd be like, yes, giant spider.
No way.
Yes.
We'd be all over that giant spider.
Yes.
Well, I think people would. I would absolutely not, because even when I watched it in the Flash film, I sailed the 7 seas and took on Captain Jack Sparrow's likelihood or whatever, and I watched it and I was like, I saw that part and I just shook my head and I was like, this is fucking so dumb. Why? It makes no sense. Look, I was more just apathetic and just like, this is so ridiculous. Then I don't know, but
that's a good word, apathy.
But I know that people really do love that Nick Cage and that they're upset that they didn't see it. It
was that close to being made. It's just when you see everything behind the scenes, it was that close.
Yeah.
Mr. Tickle Trunk again for another $2. You've been so generous tonight, man. Thank you for your super chats. He says Jesse's right, nastiness. I'm also sick of posers. And I will say, Mr. Tickle Trunk, I did a video a while back, a couple months back, on gatekeeping in terms of the Warhammer universe, and my thoughts were very clear. And I said, I think it's important that we gatekeep the fuck out of our beloved properties, because we've seen what happens when that doesn't happen. But right after that, I said, however, the people who do want to be welcomed into the hobby, those who are interested in being involved in the hobby and who don't want to change it because they inherently believe that it's something that it's not, those people should be and will be welcomed and will be guided in. And I think the people who think that Warhammer is inherently a racist property and it's only been owned by white supremacists, those people are the posers, because they never liked the IP before. They never liked the hobby before until it became cool, or until it became mainstream. And that's the biggest thing with posers, is that they always think that they know better once the thing has become mainstream.
Can I say something about posers?
Yeah, sure.
Posers is an interesting one, because more than just the geeky world, you know, I always just considered myself like a jack of all trades. So it's like, you know, if I was, you know, my father is a famous musician, and so it was like sort of automatically assumed to a certain degree. It's like, if I want to be a popular kid, I'm kind of allowed to be, because all these popular kids, superficially, they like that. I don't like superficial things. So I skirted away from that stuff, and I chose, you know, comic books. And then when I found out that, like, oh, geeks aren't athletes, I was like, well, fuck you. I'm an athlete too. And I'm going to go join the choir, and I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to be all different. Right. But from this perspective, you see a lot of people who are on the fringe. There's a lot of people, most people, and this is, I'm going to say this in two ways. There's posers and there's professional posers. Okay. Most posers are just people who aren't really sure about who they are, and they haven't found themselves yet. And a lot of times, you know, I just have this vision in my mind of this girl who was really buttoned up, and she was trying to hang out with some of my friends who were like rocker metal friends, and they would just call her a poser behind her back all the time. That, like, you know, she didn't know what she was like. She was very new. She was very new. She was appreciating the group of us. She was appreciating each individual. She wanted to hang out with us. We liked this music. She didn't understand it totally, and she wasn't a part of the group yet, but she liked it. And when people are earnestly trying to sort of like come to a place of like, I found some friends. These are the friends that I would like to have. And they're met with real judgmentalness. That hurts. It really hurts in that context when you're hesitantly, you know, timidly trying to come into a group. So I really I urge everybody to, you know, gatekeep politely, you know, be cool with people who are not professionals. However, if you are a professional, holy shit, the posing that has been going on. All right. So I'm a professional. I'm a voiceover actor. I'm a host. I got hired out of college when I was 19 to be a VJ for MTV. So very quickly, the whole landscape of hosting changed overnight. They didn't want just somebody who could read the script good and be charming, charismatic. They wanted somebody who was authentic. Meanwhile, geek culture starts blowing up. I'm the most authentic. I shouldn't be fucking hosting music. I shouldn't be hosting any of these fucking shows. I should be hosting about comic books, about geek culture shit. I know that stuff better than anybody. And I start going to all these auditions, man. And to say that I was disheartened, to say that I was surrounded by posers, to say that to this day, my Instagram, there are so many people who I know personally who are nice people, but they are fucking lying when they tell you that they are some sort of fan of anything. At the best, they are what passes for fair weather mainstream fans. I mean, people, largely girls, a lot of girls, they know there's money to be had. They know there's men here. They know they can use their sex. They were looking at all the different avenues that they could go down where they could use their sex, and this one is a good one because you don't have to be as pretty as the other girls. You could be a little less pretty, and you can still be a geek girl in the geek space. And these a little less pretty girls have been fucking manipulating the men in our industry for 2 decades now. I have watched them. I'm 19 since I started hosting. I'm 40 now. I've watched this happen. I've watched myself not get hired because I knew more than the producers knew. I knew what we were talking about. And it was very clear that I did. And they didn't hire me the same reason why a manager will not hire somebody for the Blockbuster Video or the freaking Starbucks who they think is going to be a problem for them, who they think knows more than they know. You don't hire the people who are going to give you trouble. So, I mean, like, seriously, it's the professional posers, the ones who are using their position and authority to tell you to shut up and quiet down and be nice, and fuck those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we see that a lot with cosplay, with the women that have come into cosplay now recently, because there are some women who really enjoyed this stuff. And they're like, my favorite character is Starfire or something. And I really want to do a really pretty Starfire costume or something. And then there are models who go, oh, wait, are you telling me I can make money by just showing my tits in a costume outfit to a bunch of sweaty nerds? Sure, I'll do that. Like, I don't like this thing, or I don't know what this thing is, but I'll fucking do it. Okay, whatever. And you see a lot of those fake geek girls who kind of take over that space. And then there was the whole, cosplay is not consent. And Josh and Drew, I know we saw all those signs. There were signs all over the convention center in Dallas. Is cosplay is not consent. Do not touch the cosplayers. Do not ask them inappropriate questions. And I'm just like, this was never a fucking issue.
What's funny about that, Max, is that on the convention floor, I think I maybe saw a small handful of attractive women as cosplayers, not many at all. That's just me. Maybe that's busy selling comics. I don't know, but I didn't notice that many.
Drew's right, man. It's like those fucking girls at the gyms who are like, "Look at this guy disturbing my workout. I can't even believe that." Like, look at this nerd. He came up to me and asked me for a hug timidly, and he was sweating and smelling. You shouldn't have gone to a convention dressed as a fucking sexy superhero.
Have you seen the comedian Ryan Long? He made fun of that stuff where he was in the gym.
Yes.
Finding stuff the chick. He's like, she won't stop looking at me. I don't know why you're looking at me. She's like, you're literally recording me looking at you right now.
Yeah. Cajun said something interesting. I think it was up here. He basically was saying that, we know how to make it better. We know how to make it better, and we know how to fix what's wrong with it. And that's another thing I think that a lot of these people believe, is that there needs to be fixing, and it's like you don't need to fix anything. It's already fantastic. There's a reason why these things are timeless. It's you can't enjoy it, Drew, because it's white supremacist and bigoted and racist and all these things.
Can I just say, I want to defend fandom on that thing of all this cosplay is not gonna say. Anybody can come to a convention. Anybody can comment on something on Twitter. If you really are a fan of this industry and know what it is, then you know that 99.99999% of all the real fans of this sort of thing, dude, we are as far from racist and sexist and chauvinist. We're good guys. Everybody. I've worked at multiple comic stores and toy stores throughout my life. I've spent thousands and thousands of hours at conventions. I've been in positions of fucking power where I was hosting Hall A panels and interviewing leads of Star Trek and The Walking Dead and in position to see what happens at conventions. And we are good. We are good. Yeah. We're a good group. I love that group. And they keep trying to they keep trying to bully us because they are assholes. They are these people. And they keep blaming us for stupid shit that the normies do. I'm sorry, me who's obsessed with my Lord of the Rings novels over here, I went up and groped this. I'm too insecure to fucking even look at that girl. And you're sitting these, my people are fucking harassing you. I don't believe it.
Yeah, right. So I know we're kind of gearing down. We're almost at the 2-hour mark. So I don't want to cut you off, but I do want to start to kind of wrap up. And I will do so with this comment by Copa. What's going on, Copa? Hail to you, brother. Thank you for being here tonight. And I hope you're listening to some Daryl and Oates, which sounds ridiculous. And actually, Josh, you were nodding to something earlier. You and I were nodding to something. And all I could just keep thinking of is, yeah. So Copa says basically there is no such thing as superhero fatigue. It's bad writing fatigue. That's it. So that is a very definitive statement that I think myself and Aaron Sparrow would disagree with. However, I think Josh, Drew, and Jesse would agree with you, Copa. Now, I will say this, Copa. If there is no such thing as superhero fatigue, then tell me why I don't want to watch a superhero movie. And I know that you're going to say, oh, it's because all these superhero films have been bad. But like I said before, it comes down to the quality of the film. And if even the best... So here's the thing. Guardians of the Galaxy came out. Aaron actually saw it and said he really enjoyed it. I still haven't seen it, nor will I see it, because I just don't... It has no interest to me.
Max,
and
even if I'm right with you, I'm like revving down because it's just been so disappointing on so many levels, and I don't want to encourage them. But I want to take a middle stance from because what I was saying about about the way this stuff is being sort of manipulated by these groups. What was the comment? Sorry, because there was a word in the comment that really like set off my thing. You put back up.
Oh, sorry, the one from Copa.
Yeah, what did he say? He said, "Oh, yeah, okay, yeah." The bad writing thing. So because we have not been given credit, I don't believe that superhero films are literally being considered in any different way than all of Hollywood and all of the shit that they're doing. I think it's all being kind of lumped into one another as any of this corporate garbage I'm done with. And I'll wait for the next Tom Cruise movie. I'll wait for some of the things that might interest me along the way. So I do think that there is a superhero fatigue, but it's not so easy to blame it on the superheroes or the content of the things. But there's a fatigue for all science fiction and all fantasy and all of the things that are most interesting to the audience, because the executives saw that there was depth to something like The Lord of the Rings or Star Wars. And by depth, I mean money from products, buying statues, buying books, continuing to propagate an IP for a long time. There's merchandise. They have angled themselves towards the merchandise material. And the merchandise material is, in particular, Hollywood just cannot get their heads out of their ass to make it good. The more they think about the merchandise material, the worse it gets. Independent stuff,
Yeah. Now, my only pushback is that when you say I think it's all of sci-fi and all of fantasy, I really want to go see Dune 2. I think Dune 2 is going to be fucking awesome. And I loved the first Dune film. So,
I didn't but people do seem to like that one.
Yeah. So I think in that aspect, I think at least for me, and I can only speak for myself, and I think that there are other people who feel this way. It tends to be more normies that feel this because they just don't care anymore. But for me,
doesn't that mean though that like the same way Aaron, because Aaron hasn't seen like most of the movies I know, he's one of my besties. So he hasn't seen it, but he did go to see Guardians of the Galaxy because for him, that was willing to come out of retirement for. So would you say that maybe it's ultimately still the same thing though, even though you're coming out of retirement for Dune? Does that necessarily change the fatigue that we're feeling for all the other science fiction and fantasy and whatever, which you can generally lump into one category?
Sorry, say that one more time. I was reading Copa's
I think Jesse's right. I don't think you have a superhero fatigue, Max. I think you have a Hollywood fatigue, just in general.
Okay.
And there's always going to be an exception to the rule. But even, I mean, realistically, look at it and ask yourself, what movies have you gone to the theater to see this year? Yeah,
like what Copa said too. He said the same thing, basically what we're saying. Thanks, Josh.
You don't want to see it because you heard mixed reviews on it and you've already met on Marvel. If it was championed as the best Guardians of the Galaxy film of the trilogy, I'm sure you'd watch. Now, do you want me to answer this first, Josh, or do you want me to?
It doesn't.
Do you want to go?
It doesn't matter.
I'll just say real quick, Copa. The only thing is that, and this might be why Josh is about to prove why I have more of a Hollywood fatigue, is that Maverick was Top Gun Maverick was claimed as the best film of like the decade, right? And I was just like, fuck, I don't care, you know. So that might be where you were going, Josh. Now, and this is the same thing for me with the superhero films. Even if David's corn sweats Superman film is like, it's better than Henry Cavill. I don't care. I'm not going to go watch. I have complete apathy for the superhero genre. But
you too? I have total apathy for that shit as well. Like, I don't want to see a year one Superman story like so badly. Like, it makes me mad. There's literally been multiple television series about Superman's fucking growing up time. All I want is Superman in the middle of being Superman.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, but I didn't want to cut Josh off because I know you wanted to kind of, I think you were kind of proving that it's more of a Hollywood fatigue. Is that where you're where you were going?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like even if you take superheroes out of the mix, a lot of what Hollywood's putting out thematically is the same. You're getting a lot of the same type of writing, the same type of humor, the same type of action. And I think what you're getting drawn to, because you mentioned Dune, is stuff that is so inherently different in its presentation, in its style, in its script. Because the last thing I can remember you being excited about saying, hey, this is a good film, was The Northman.
Yes,
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's a great film, but it is also so inherently different than anything else that's coming out.
And I think that there may have been a reason why it didn't do so well at the box office, because it didn't make that much money. It did okay, but I think it barely broke even, if that.
I think. Oh, really? I thought they were pretty happy with it. I don't think it was supposed to be as wide a release as it ended up getting. I thought it was one of those movies that was really low budget to begin with and was only released limited reaction, and then the reaction was good enough that it got a limited release across the world. But maybe I'm wrong about that.
Yeah. I think it made Cajun Corey. Love you, brother.
Was around 30 to 40 million. I think it may have barely made 30 million, if that. It let me look that up.
It like barely. I think it lost money in the grand scheme of things, but I thought it was like one of those ones.
Really, the Northman actually lost money. That's a bummer.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course. I mean, I think it's difficult because you have a director and a filmmaker that has done more indie stuff like The Witch, which is a brilliant film, but it's more not really known. It's a horror film. He did The Lighthouse, which is super out there.
Easy to make money on those things. Like when the budgets are small, like, so I thought The Northman had a tiny budget.
It did. It was 40 million. I think the Northman actually ended up doing well in streaming, like where people could rent and purchase it.
It's got
to recoup. Yeah.
But anyway, so you were saying though. Go ahead, Drew.
Worldwide, it made 79 million worldwide.
Yeah,
but like barely 40 million at the domestic.
Oh, that is so sad, and that's why we won't see films like that, because
the budget was between 70 to 90 million. So there we go.
That's why we won't see films like that, because like people just don't show up to the theaters because they've been they're trying to be weaned off of the excitement of these like superhero films where it has to be this big event. But sorry, Josh, I keep cutting you off, brother.
No,
I think
good,
you were
man.
just gonna.
I mean, I was kind of making my point with that. The only thing I'll add on to what you just said is I think that's kind of what we're doing with YouTube, and a lot of people are doing kind of on their own independently now. You're getting these people out there that are pretty much becoming self-made critics. I think that's so important because it's the only place that you're getting honesty. And I know people that are critics for major publications or major sites, and they're not dishonest people, but I will say that when you get invited to premieres, the energy, like they're hyping you up, you're getting free shit. They're they're doing all this stuff that you're like, what is it? Serotonin levels are already boosted. And you're like, oh, this is, and you have people that are there wanting to have a good time, not necessarily a like, God, I really hope this is good. I mean, there's probably a sense of that, but you're getting so much extra crap on top of it that's positive. But I think general viewers need these like YouTube type critics, these people that are kind of grassroots that are just going to be honest. And it's not to say that they're always right, but it's just to the point that you're going to find someone that you understand their stance and what they like and dislike. And the moment you understand someone and what they like or dislike about a film, you can assess whether you feel like you should go watch a film based on their opinion. Because you might be like, okay, well, he doesn't necessarily like campy things, but I do. So I will probably like this movie. I'm going to go see it. Or, hey, as far as dramas go, we feel the same way. We don't like people sitting down talking all day. I'm not going to go see it. So I would say you have more of a Hollywood fatigue, and I do think that will start to change. I think we're going to start seeing more stuff like Northman, more stuff like Mission Impossible come out because you're getting those people that want to make those things are getting opportunities to again. But I think it's important that when we find these things that we like, we speak to it and kind of raise it up and say like, hey, here's the top 10, here's the best movie of the month, whatever it might be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well written and properly budgeted movies are the future. That's like things are going to be budgeted appropriately with a good story, and those are going to be the things that start getting greenlit, and they'll be inexpensive enough that they'll be given a little bit of rope to hang themselves, and you'll start finding all these like weirdo hits that'll be coming out. And I mean, that's the time that I'm looking forward to. And I really see a moment very soon too, you know, where people like myself and you know, what's his name, who's doing that Isom book, like there's a lot of independent, there's a lot of independent creators who are making money, creating IP on their own and building tiny little audiences of passionate people. And dude, freaking the number 0 issue of the silly Guns and Angels comic book that I'm doing for Merc, on the back of 860 people, they made $57,000. $57,000 from 860 people. Hollywood's like, we need billions of it. No, you don't. You just need a bunch of people who give a shit, and you can make a lot of money. So, like, we keep showing up and delivering the goods with the right ideas over and over and over again. Before you know it, people are going to be demanding that Isom and other things are turned into fucking films. And then people like me are going to go, all right, well, let's not give this to Hollywood. Let's do this on our own. I can hire Mangold. I could call him up his agent tomorrow, and I can hire him with the money that I made from doing a fucking, you know, an accurate depiction of the marketplace, like raising money for a movie and getting everything that you want, and then going out and hiring the people because you got the money to do it yourself. That is there for everybody to do. The last thing I'll say on it is just, you know, my father, he was doing his music video for We're Not Going to Take It years and years and years ago. And I just love this story. And he says, I would love to really get somebody like Mark Metcalf from Animal House to be the dad in this music video. I always pictured him as kind of my dad. And the director, Marty Kollner, who's a huge director, he's directed lots of big comedy specials and stuff over the years. And Marty goes, well, let's get Mark Metcalf. What the hell's he doing? Curing cancer? Yeah, what the hell are they doing? Curing cancer? You can hire these people. You can. You get the money. You can hire the screenwriter. You can hire the editor. You can hire. Everybody is fucking for sale. We have the power to make money independently through Kickstarter and stuff like that. It is just a matter of time before we start making our own damn movies, and they're going to be much better, thank God.
And yeah, go ahead, Josh.
I was just going to say, we already kind of had an example of that. Part of the reason that you're seeing the rebirth of the Mortal Kombat movies with Warner Brothers right now is because Kevin Tancharian went through and made a little web series just out of love, and it ended up being well received online. And this was years ago, but he ended up being well received online that they just started making more and more and more. And it was to the point that they were going to have him do the Mortal Kombat movie, and then they decided last minute, like, no, we're going to go with somebody else, which sucks. But the reason that stuff got kind of rejuvenated back in there was because someone was like, this is a good property. You're not doing what you need to with it. I'm going to license it out, you know, pay to be able to do it, and I'm going to do it. And that's what he did. And people responded incredibly well to it. And then Warner fucked it up.
I think that's why Deadpool got made in the first place. Ryan Reynolds had a vision. He put out like that little, you know, short on YouTube or whatever,
allegedly.
And people
Allegedly it was him.
Allegedly, yeah. And
Dude,
and people had great response.
So damn authentic, though. It's authentic because we forced their hand. The fans saw exactly what they wanted. They went, "We want this," and
look at Sonic.
Went, okay, I guess yes.
Look at Sonic, where he had an horrifying, horrendous face, and people were like, "What the fuck is this? This is some furry shit. This is disgusting." And it got so much backlash that the producers and to credit to them, were like, you know what? We will take this film back. We will redo every CGI image of Sonic and we'll do it right. And it did really, really well. So it just goes to show
what a financial benefit that was for them. Simply listening to guys in any part of your life, it doesn't matter if it's geek culture, anything. Just admit when you're wrong or you've made a mistake or you don't know something. Somebody says something, I don't know what it is. I go, what is that, Josh? Can you explain to me? Now I'm smarter than I was a fucking second ago. Or we could just keep pretending to be smart and never actually be smart.
To that point, I will say that you guys have kind of changed my mind to where I'm now at a point where I'm thinking, you know what, maybe this superhero fatigue that I am feeling, that I've called superhero fatigue, is more of a larger issue, of a larger problem that is at hand, which is more of a Hollywood fatigue. So that's something that I need to then look at and reevaluate, because I like to hear what other people's opinions are so that it can change my viewpoint and I can understand better what people think and what they feel. So then I'm more knowledgeable. And that I know this is crazy
we
talk.
We need therapy,
right?
for watching these fucking movies.
Yeah. This is absolute crazy talk. But yeah, I think that I think that is something that you guys have kind of swayed me on, that maybe, my anger is misplaced in calling it superhero fatigue, but more so Hollywood fatigue. I still reject the notion of bad movie. It's bad movie fatigue. It's not superhero fatigue. I think that they can still be synonymous. However, Hollywood fatigue is a larger issue. I feel like that is like, because even like, and so Mr. Tickle Trunk, $2 again, dude. Once again, appreciate it, brother. He says Mario, RRR, John Wick. These are all films that did great in the theaters. Mario was I don't know what's going on with poor Jesse. He is just having a struggle session right now. It just keeps going in and out. So, yeah,
it was my fault. I accidentally did that.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that Mario, RRR, and John Wick are what you would call like Marvel and DC. I think when people refer to superhero fatigue, I think they inadvertently or inherently are speaking about those two, right? Marvel and DC. I think those are the ones that they're pointing to. Mario, RRR, and John Wick are a totally different class of films, I feel like. But I still haven't really seen those either, which kind of...
Oh, he's not wrong, though, that they're superheroes in their own right. You know, I mean, it's like it's all just one step away. It's like we put on a costume, and they keep trying to take the damn costumes off our superheroes and make them more like John Wick and RRR, so that they don't have to think of being superheroes on them in the first place. But I mean, I get to his point. I mean, all of these things, dude, we're all looking for heroes, whether it's guys or girls. You know, like the disappointing thing about that freaking, Rings of Power bit where Galadriel becomes this like war-torn hero is because she's a different sort of hero. She's a matriarchal, wise woman. She represents what we could be, that the human race can evolve to. And instead, they de-evolved her back. And that's what they keep doing across the board with like all of this IP. I think they go in thinking and believing that it is a certain maturity level that is beneath them. And then they produce material that is of a maturity level that is beneath them. Coincidence? I think not. If they started respecting this shit and realizing that no, this is actually very mature subject matter when it's treated as such, then what you got would be different. You know, I learned making music a long time ago that if I had a producer or a songwriter who told me that he thought an idea that we had sucked, best thing to do is just change it, because if I make them do the thing that they think sucks, they're going to do a sucky job because they don't think that it's a good idea. So anything they give me is going to be some shitty version of the thing that I see in my mind that could be good, but they don't see it. And Hollywood doesn't see it. So they keep trying to like, give us what we want, but they can't see what we want.
Yeah. Drew, were you about to say something? Sorry.
I forget what I was going to say at this point.
Yeah, I think to your point though, Jesse, kind of what you were talking about, I will say it's I think one of the things that I've been seeing as of late, and what you're kind of talking about, I hear you saying throughout this stream, is that even if people were saying, "Oh, I really don't like these superhero films," it's almost like they aren't even superhero films at this point because they are so far removed from the original source material.
That's it. I remember what I was going to say.
Yeah, go ahead, Drew.
You think about the early 2000s, like the X-Men films and all that, and Smallville and Matrix. It's all about the black leather fetish stuff. Then we actually evolved through the costumes. Eventually, we saw Batrock the Leaper in costume. Holy shit, minus the mask. But now we're getting back to those black leather costumes, like where no one's wearing a costume now. I'm like, no, stop.
No, we're doing the Power Ranger outfits, Drew. Or the Spy Kids outfits, where everyone is in a Spy Kid outfits. Yeah,
Drew, doesn't it drive you crazy because like when you open up a comic book and there's these beautiful 4-color images and these balanced images of like just these costumes, the way that they're laid out with the heavy blue here and some red here, whatever it might be, it just stings your eye the way it just pops out. Especially something like, let's say, Hulk with his purple pants and his green skin. Like it just, oh man, it just sets your eye on fire to see these two colors bouncing off each other like that. To write that away, to get rid of that is your selling point.
Yes.
All of your films have been art directed by professional artists for 60 years.
Yes.
And there's tons of shit for you to go mine and pull from. Like, what idiot is ignoring that sort of artistic input into the process?
And so you're not part of our group text, but I'm sending these guys, like, I'm going through like 30 or 40, 50 long boxes of like stuff from Diamond from back in the early 90s and 2000s. And I'm finding new X-Men comics by Grant Morrison, and they're wearing the black leather and all that. I'm like, oh, we're in that time of the X-Men now when they're trying to like, hey, yeah, see, we're like the movies. We're cool now. We can wear black leather. See, isn't black leather cool in the comics now? It's just,
it's pretty funny.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say those pictures are good. I hate you so much. I was just gonna say it with your chest, Josh. Say it with your chest.
Well, I was gonna say. Meanwhile, Emma Frost is like, "Look at these titties." Go ahead.
Oh, God bless Emma Frost, even though she's. So Cajun Corey for $4.99, dude. Thank you, Cajun. Love you, brother. Thank you for being here. He says, Max, just watch the new Top Gun already.
You haven't seen the new Top Gun yet?
No.
No.
I'm so mad.
It's so fun. It is just so fun. Watch it.
Here we go.
I'm so mad that I didn't remember this while we were in Dallas. Because
me too. I didn't know this.
had I remembered, had I thought of it, I would have pulled a Bill Cosby. I would have drugged Max, drug him to the Lorenzo Hotel, and we would have watched Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah,
that's not what Bill Cosby would have done, Josh. I think you're a little bit uninformed about what Bill was up to.
Josh, I think what you're talking about. I just picture the meme of the Netflix, Dahmer, where Dahmer like plays the video of whatever thing is, and he's like, "We're just gonna watch a little video," and I just see Josh putting on Top Gun Maverick, and me just sitting there like, "What's happening?" and Josh being like, "We're gonna just watch a little video right now." But yes, I've heard. I will hear this till the day that I die. To like now at this point, I guarantee when I watch it, I'm just gonna be like, "It was fine." You know, because everyone that I hear tells me like, "You haven't seen Maverick." I've just been like, "Yeah, I haven't seen it." Like, what's
at this point, it's like it's unless you have like a huge like 80-inch TV that's with huge surround sound. It's like that's the way to see Top Gun Maverick. Honestly,
it's definitely worth seeing in a theater. I think more so than like watching it at home. I'm not going to necessarily run out and watch it again, even though I thought it was a very good movie. It's just not the type of thing that makes me return to viewing. It's a military movie, and at the end of the day, I don't like the military. The military keeps finding new reasons to go and fucking fight for no good reason. I like an idea of like a more positive future, so I don't like to aggrandize our military because I think it encourages them to do war.
The military-industrial complex. The men in the military. I don't think necessarily.
Mind the men. It's the complex. Yes, it's the complex thing.
Yeah. Chester Benson for $5. Hey, we got some more super chats coming in. Thank you, Chester. He says, I backed almost all Merc Kickstarter campaigns. Wow, dude. Thank you so much. That is awesome. He says, you guys keep producing great art and storytelling. Keep it coming. P.S. Back Born of Blood 4 next week.
Yes, the extended cut. Yeah, the extended bloodier cut of Born of Blood 4 is going to be launching next week with a hot new Shikari cover. I can't say. I'm not going to say what it looks like, but this is his best cover yet.
Can I take a guess? Does it feature boobs?
Mayhaps.
They're Drew, you need to get him on butts, my dude. You need to start getting the dump truck. We need the dumpy in there.
I text him all the time, so I'm gonna let Shikari know we need Max wants the booty.
I want more dumpies.
We need the 90s where you get the full butt, but then you also get the full boob.
Yeah. It's the Battle Chasers issue number 2 of Red Monica that Joe Madrietta did. It's brilliant. So let's see. So thank you, Chester and Rudy for $4.99. He says, "Hail the panelist. This show is and has been more entertaining than pretty much anything that Hollywood has put out in some time. Bring the fire."
That's very nice
dude.
Of you.
Amen, Rudy, and thank you, man. That truly means a lot. That we can be that for you guys. You know, we want to be that alternative media to talk about this stuff. And I think that we're all very intellectual people who love this stuff more than anything. We're just extremely passionate about it.
Love,
so,
man.
Amen,
That's
Rudy.
It's all about loving it. We love
Yeah.
it. And you know, I keep doing the thing because I'm about to tear this week on my podcast. I am just going to tear Disney apart. They are about to lose $1 billion this year after Indiana Jones now. And I love it. I love Disney animation. My favorite animated films of all time. I love Marvel. I love Star Wars. I love the Muppets. I love Pixar. Pixar was my favorite studio, period. Forever. They have destroyed everything that I love. They're squandering it all. And as a creative person, I'm sitting here going, Jesus Christ, you guys can't find anybody?
Well, Jesse, I know you got to take off, brother, but before you leave, Mr. Tickle Trunk again for $5. This is great. I love this a lot. Mr. Tickle Trunk has been he's been all about you tonight, Jesse. But before you go, he says, "I usually lurk, but the last time I had this much fun listening to complaints, I was in bed with my ex." Isn't that right? He says, "Well done tonight, gentlemen. Jesse has been fire." Jesse gets bonus points for mentioning the Muppets. Yeah, Mr. Tickle Trunk, you've been so generous tonight, and you've been a part of this chat and part of the stream. So I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. But yeah, Jesse, I know you got to dip out. Thank you for being here with us tonight, even coming all the way from Mammoth.
Dude, so. Love you, Josh. Love you, Darren. Love you guys. See you later. Everybody have
Take
a
care,
wonderful
brother.
evening. Bye-bye.
Yeah, have a good 4th of July.
Yes, you too. I'm enjoying my vacation. Peace.
Heck yeah.
Sweet. Yep. Hell yeah. Good. Rudy says, "Dude, the grumpy old men on the Muppets are effing awesome."
That's me every day. Kyle and I, that's what the staff at Comics League call us. They call Kyle and I the grumpy old men from the Muppets. Oh,
I believe it. I used to be the Swedish chef. Borgy, borgy, dorky, borky. Corey, have a great night, brother. Happy 4th of July. Have a great week. Love you, man. We'll see you soon. All that being said, we're going to go ahead and end things here. But before we do, Josh, Drew, in a few sentences or less, overall thoughts: superhero fatigue or bad movie fatigue? Or third option, is it just overall fucking Hollywood IPs trying to rehash, reboot, restart, refurbish these things that is kind of ruining this the hype for a lot of these films?
The correct answer is Joe Biden fatigue. It is Joe Biden fatigue.
It's called Bidenomics, Josh. No,
Bidenomics. I say that, but I love watching his TikToks where I don't understand what he's saying. Or the TikToks of him, where I think it's a combo of bad movie and Hollywood fatigue, because they're kind of one and the same in a lot of ways, and also kind of one and the same of what we're seeing with superhero movies. So I don't think it's superhero fatigue. Going back to what I said earlier, superhero movies are just a vehicle for these stories to be told, and we are constantly wanting a hero's journey. We want to see people do well. And that's what these movies should be delivering. We want to see our heroes, face some trials, face some tribulations, and then find a way to triumph. And that's not what we're getting. We're seeing our heroes get berated, told they're awful, told they're wrong, they didn't do it right. And that's what this newer, younger generation thinks of the generations that came before them. But this newer generation has no idea and concept of the reality of the world that's around them. So they're coming in, they're the petty people, but for whatever reason, well, they got the power, they got the position, they got their spot on the hill because they're cheap. And that's why we're seeing this narrative so strongly, and it's going to change soon.
It is very interesting that like once they've climbed up the ladder, once they've gotten up the ladder, then they start preaching their own things down, and they're like lecturing people only after that they've, gotten to the point that they are now.
And that's the thing though, there's not really much of a climbing of the ladder anymore. It's strictly we need a cheaper alternative, or we need the cheapest alternative, get these people. So they're going from the bottom of the rung all the way to the top. And
it's more of a step stool than a ladder.
Yeah. And then once they get to the top of that step stool, they pull that step stool up with them and they go, bye-bye. And they just wave to all the underlings below and they just say, good luck. But yeah, Drew. Josh already spoke. Drew, bad movie fatigue, superhero fatigue, or Hollywood fatigue? What do you think?
I'm going to mirror what Josh said. It's a combination of both. It's Hollywood, and it's producing a lot of bad movies, unfortunately. And yeah, I can't see superhero fatigue. I just don't see it. It's just bad movies, bad quality. That's what they're producing.
If only I had Aaron with me, it'd be 2-2, but instead I'm getting double fisted from both of y'all.
But hey, this is like the McLaughlin group. You can outrule us. You could be like, wrong. No.
I could just get rid of both of y'all, and it could just be Max's man cave with me again. So
I never really lost them both. So I'm right.
If you want to be politically correct in 2023, Max, you have to say "fuck you, whiteys," and then kick us out, and then give your opinion.
But see, Josh, I can't do that to you, especially not after last month. I can't do that. You have to be in the stream no matter what. So that's just part of your contract now.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, yeah, I mean, chat, you guys know my thoughts. I still think I'm more on the side of superhero fatigue. However, thanks to these guys, I do feel more so that it has become more of a Hollywood fatigue. Because, and granted, even though Hollywood has been making some good things, like I know people love the Mario film, RRR isn't a Hollywood movie, but John Wick was another one that people, Bollywood, yeah. And I just can't get myself to a point where I have interest in those things anymore, except for, like you said, Josh, Northman, which I loved. And then Dune too, because I saw the first Dune film and really enjoyed that. So thankfully I can look forward to Dune 2, hopefully. But yeah, so just things like that where I'm wondering now more so, is it really just because I just don't want to see movies anymore in general, because we have such a backlog of amazing stuff, that's one of the positives about, I guess, quote unquote superhero fatigue, at least for me, is that because so much of this has just devolved into nothingness. You guys saw me at Dallas Fan Expo. I had 2 handfuls full of back issues of Defenders and Thor, and Drew and I were looking through Green Lantern and Punisher, and
the fringing issue. We found some Jim Lee Punishers. Yeah.
So if it's done anything, it's actually made me appreciate the back issues that I have and wanting to get more. Oh, and I got a ton of Conan stuff too, so that was awesome.
You may have some of those on the way too. Just saying. Yeah.
I saw some of those in your hand and in the picture that you sent me, so thank you. Yeah. So, I love these conversations because, like I said, it just feels like I'm back in the comic shop and we're actually making progress in terms of like, what is it, right? What can we point to say this is at fault or this is what we're kind of feeling, right? And so I appreciate you guys being on, and it's unfortunate that Aaron couldn't be here to articulate my points as well, so that we could go out saying I win and I'm right. But that's all right. It's my stream, so maybe I can say that. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sure. Well, you know what I should have done? I should have made a poll in the chat, and I think most people would have said bad movie fatigue, but that's all right. We'll do it next time. Even though Critical Drinker made a poll on his Twitter, and I think it was 80-20. 80% said that it was superhero fatigue.
Wow.
However, I don't know how many of those are normies, and I also don't know how many of those know kind of the ins and outs of like what superhero fatigue is as opposed to bad movie fatigue. Who knows?
Maybe was bad movie fatigue an option?
Yes, it was between the two. It was, is it superhero fatigue or is it bad movie fatigue? And 80% said super fatigue. And it was like 34,000 people who had voted, maybe even something more than that. So, yeah. Outlaw the God, he asks a question. He says, what are the main components of the comic movie industry that make you feel this way? I think it just feels hollow. And that's a great question, Outlaw the God. I appreciate that.
Just repeat storylines. I think Jesse brought it up. You know, it's just storyline, and Josh brought it up. Just storylines that we're all too familiar with being rehashed over and over and over again. And Marvel is effectively a factory now, cookie cutter factory of their stories now. You pretty much know what's going to happen from beginning, middle to end. There's really no difference now.
I think one of the biggest things for me was, the cookie cutter blueprint of the de-evolution of like the classic hero. We have to deconstruct them, and then we have to raise up the other, characters that no one cares about. And in my opinion, I think if they were to take a 5-year hiatus after Endgame, I would not be feeling this way. Because I think once we got Endgame, I was fine. I didn't need to see anymore. I saw what I needed to see. I thought they did a beautiful job of it. There were some, hits and misses along the way, but for the most part, those 22, 25 something films were one of the greatest achievements in cinema history.
Yeah,
agreed.
And I didn't need to see any more.
If people have said it before, if they're going to continue like they did, it is on them for us to be involved, be invested in their characters and new storylines, because you're going to have to produce and bring on charismatic actors, charismatic characters.
Yes.
They didn't do that. No,
they went straight to the bottom of the barrel and just started pulling shit storylines that people were like, what? They got rid of classic characters. They started pulling out, TV shows that no one really wanted to watch. The movies,
Sean's greatest Marvel film, The Eternals. So that's what matters.
It was a triumph.
Yeah, Sean's favorite film. Yes.
Yes, it saved lives, Drew. It's about time that these films start saving lives. So, but I could go on, Outlaw the God, talking about how all the actors, producers, directors, and a lot of the people within the industry believe that we are inherently bad people and that we're bigoted and that we're racist. And so they don't want to give us what we want to see. A lot of the intentions behind some of these individuals, like I said, the list could go on forever, but I think all of that has just continually weighed down on me to the extent to where you've worn down a sword into this dull blade that no longer wants to, be used in battle anymore. To go see these films would be more of a homework assignment for me than actual enjoyment, and that's what's so unfortunate. So, our man Jesse Blaze says, my family was waiting to watch Office Space with me. Catching up on the chat. Night, everyone.
Can you show this real quick? Hopefully Jesse's still watching. I went to a movie theater. They were doing a review of Office Space, and they had a jump to conclusions mat out for everyone.
That's funny.
This sucker was massive. There's me back there. That is how massive that thing
is. Wow. Oh my gosh. Dude, that's amazing. That's hilarious.
And he had Bill Lindberg birthday cake at the very end of the film. They're giving out.
Oh, I love Office Space. That is a fantastic film. See, I would go watch that in theaters again, even though you could watch it. Yeah,
absolutely. It was packed. Everyone was laughing their asses off. It was great.
It's just so much fun. And I will say, Josh, I misspoke when I said one of the last movies that I saw in theaters was Northman or Dune, because I have been watching all the Fathom events. So Fathom events put on Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, and they've also been putting on Studio Ghibli or Ghibli. So,
but they're re-releases. So
exactly, yeah. So that's It's
We have-
it's all
We
re-release
got
stuff.
Flicks Brewhouse here. They do their every month. They show themed older films. Like that one month they showed Superman, and so that was great seeing that at Flicks. And never get seeing that.
Sweet. Well, guys, thank you for your input. Truly, it means a lot, and I always love these conversations with y'all. It's always very intellectual, intuitive, and it always gives me an opportunity to look at some of the things that I'm thinking and to kind of express my thoughts aloud and have pushback against it is always great because I'm not in my own head. And as Josh said on Only Josh the other night, you were like, Max likes to overthink things. And I was like, he gets me. So, no. Yeah. I wholly to the bottom of my heart, I was like, oh my God, he understands who I am. Like, so I appreciate that.
It's like at the very top is Kanye West breaking down the fish dicks joke, thinking too deeply about that. Then you're right below that.
Barely below Kanye. Okay. All right. Fair. But yeah, no, I know you said it with love, brother. It was all love. Now, if only I can find a girl to understand that as well. But
hey, you were set up with one. Josh and I are witnesses.
Here we go. We have no idea who that girl is. She's all the way in like Oklahoma or something. I don't know who she is. She's very pretty though.
I need to come out to where you are like once a quarter and just play wingman. That's what I should do.
Hey, there we go. Yeah, come back to your old stomping grounds.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, or maybe I'll come out to you. I think you know what. That's a better idea. I need to come out to Texas. So.
Indeed, you would have better luck.
Oh, 100%.
It's close to Oklahoma too. Hey, there you go.
Yeah. There you go. Only 3 hours away from like if I'm in Dallas. I know Josh, you're not in Dallas, but like I'd do the trip from OKC or Lawton, and I'd go down to Dallas every now and then, Fort Worth area. It's about a 3 hour drive, not bad at all. So yeah. All that being said, thank you guys in the chat tonight. You were fantastic. Thank you for the generous super chats tonight. That was awesome to see you guys interacting with us and being part of the stream. That's what we want, and we want to be that alternative media for you guys, to where when there isn't good stuff in Hollywood or where there isn't good stuff on the streaming platforms, you can come watch us on Sunday nights. So especially because like for me, my TV right now is YouTube. I very rarely watch streaming stuff. I tend to watch YouTube almost exclusively. So. Josh, you will have Pop by Culture this Tuesday, correct?
Yeah, so we're still going to do it despite the 4th of July holiday. I think the plans that we have are earlier in the day, so we're still going to hang out and chat Tuesday night. So if you're finding yourself at home with nothing to do Tuesday night, come see us. Monday night, I'll also be on Flaccid Phoenix's Premature Ejection. And then Thursday night, I'll be in Roman of the Empire's channel for Secret Invasion, having a discussion there. And then next Sunday, we are having MVP's birthday celebration silky stream.
Whoa, hang on a second. Wait, we said no such thing, but I may oblige if for the right amount of money.
There we go. That's
some basic instinct.
I'm trying to
leg stretches in them, like
Max. If you learn any lesson from tonight's live stream, when your friends try to throw you a bone, take the freaking bone, man.
I may have to bring the silkies back out. We'll see.
Hey, Max, here's this really hot, cool girl that you would really get along with. No, I'm okay. Hey, Max, that silky stream did really well for you last time. I might.
Maybe. I'll think about it. Hey, Max, you should go see Top Gun Maverick. Maybe.
I don't know. Tom Cruise, he's a Scientologist.
Yeah. Just throwing bad ideas out the window. And thank you for reminding me. Next Sunday, you guys will see us right here for Max's Dirty Nerdy 30. Ooh. We're gonna do a birthday stream. It'll be I've got a list of 20 people right now that I'm gonna invite, and hopefully they can all make it on. We'll kind of swap people in and out depending on who can make it. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're just going to hang out, drink, and dance, and just be idiots. So I'm looking forward to being 30. It'll be a night to remember. So and yeah, Josh, sounds like you got a busy week as well. Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Hell yeah. Drew, did your video with Wes come out today, or is that going to be out tomorrow?
So it because of what happened, I guess the power outage at
that's right.
Because we said we were only going to recommend 2 comics this past week, and
so sad.
Yeah, and we're like, screw this. So it's like, all right, fine. Sean and I got 6. We had half a day to work on Power Hour because of that. So which was great.
Wow.
So Power Hour 3 is done. It's off to the art.
Hey, nice.
Off to Ali
Fantastic.
Garza. Yeah.
Great, man. Good to hear. Okay, good. Now, Josh, Rudy thinks that all the panelists need to be in silkies. Do I need to mandate that people wear silkies if they come on Sunday?
I mean, I don't own silkies. We can see if I can get some. I've got some running shorts. I mean, those might be the closest things.
I've got my old ones in the closet. I'm ready to bust those out.
There we go.
I was about to say, we have a lot of veterans and a lot of athletic people on the panel, so maybe. And X-Ray Girl, Kara, Steph, and Tugs are all going to be invited, whether they show up or not. We'll see. And they may have some short shorts as well. So I don't know. I'll just tell Kyle not to wear them because no one wants to see that. No, I'm kidding. Well, thank you guys again for being here tonight. This was a blast. Chat, have a fantastic 4th of July. Enjoy your American Pride Month. I'll see you guys next weekend for the birthday stream. Reject modernity and embrace your legacy. And I will see you guys soon. Thanks again.